It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. This is my time, faster than ever, hungry and I'm going to come back and take what is mine, bigger and better. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. Saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, 'cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. I was born for this.
TV. We're here at the majors as it is tonight. We're going to find ourselves with row that of round number 5 as they're going to be running with the Porsche Cup Wild Race here today. Wesley, we've seen the last 4 rounds. Each region has been running the same car at the same track. Well, they're changing it up. We're going to be finding ourselves with Porsches here at Road Atlanta, while all the other regions, they've been at other courses for different durations of times.
Two 40-minute races. That's what's going to be on tap here. That's the equivalent of like soccer, you know, or football, as they call it, where you play 2 40-minute halves. And then, of course, you decide the winners with the best goals. Tonight, the same thing, but we're not going to do it with balls and legs. We're doing it with Porsche cars around the road course at Road Atlanta. And, of course, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed the last 3 events being a part of the Major Series presented by Majors Garage with iRacing on LSR TV. I literally just wanted to make sure I got my entire weekend itinerary done. And thank goodness it's fallen a flood now outside, Samuel, and not yesterday. So I would have had to run in a real race today, rushing to get here. Road Atlanta is a fun track. I've been there before. It's just outside of Brazelton, Georgia, just before you get into Atlanta and Commerce. It is a fun facility. It's a driver's track. It's a track that really shows the talents. And I think we're going to see the same thing on the iRacing simulator tonight. So it should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's also given the nickname as the Petite Le Mans. It's a smaller version of the Le Mans course. And I got to say, this course, a little bit over 2.5 miles. It's going to be fast, quick. Also in the Porsches, which I've been watching practice, Wesley. It looks like they're all going to be jumping around. I don't know what they've done to the shocks, but these Porsches are bouncing. They're crazy quick as well, and it's going to be fun to see. This is, again, round number 5. We've had 4 different winners, more than that, actually, this season. No one has been a multi-time winner so far. Tonight could be the night that things can change up. Again, 2 different races, back-to-back, 40 minutes each. And Wesley, also this race here this evening, as each race has been, going to be another charity involved. That's going to be Envision, that of El Salvador. We're going to talk about them more later on this evening. But we're going to first take also a look here at points in a quick moment, as we will come right back. We'll look at the points here in a minute.
Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outlet up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway. Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel, ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments, and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on nc811.org or the NC811 app.
This is our series,
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it?
They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Major Series as the drivers are on track, practice underway, as this is the Porsche Cup Wild here this evening as drivers are getting set. Talked about, hey, let's take a look at the points. Well, here they are. It's the Sportsman's point standings. These are for the drivers only. And right now, top of the board is going to be Spencer Todd. Spencer Todd comes away with one win. That was back at the Landdown event that we had just about a few weeks ago, winning the race number 2 of that day. And then we also have that of Chris Yadio, who's going to be just that of 13 points out from Spencer Todd. Also going to have Nathan Medina going to be in third. But Wesley, you were covering the last race here at the Majors. A little bit of a change-up points-wise for these drivers. I think the big one that we're looking at is that in 5th place where Robert Deloach lies, the driver from that last race we had.
Yeah, he had a pretty good run the last race and was able to go from the Landdown 200 and move up into a pretty, significant spot up in the point standings. But again, hey, we're only round 4. This is round 5 tonight of the season, and we still got a lot of racing left to go. And you know I'm giddy, Samuel. I know you were giddy for the race at Phoenix with the throwback to the open wheel cars we did. And I'm excited for the upcoming race after tonight in 2 weeks on Sunday night, May the 15th. It is going to be exciting. It is the Lsr of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and a true virtual greatest spectacle in racing for the Major Series of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Yeah, and then we've also got that of the Le Mans and the World 600. Going to be the next 3 events that we've got coming up for the Majors. But tonight, the Porsche is attacking that at Road Atlanta. And some other points we can take a look at is going to be showing up on screen is going to be that of the Sportsman team's points. We're going to be seeing on top of the board, going to be the Forge PC Racers Sports 1 team, where they find themselves with about 3 to 4 drivers on this team going to be showing up for this split 1 of the America's Sportsmen's, as well as a couple of that Mad Sim Racing drivers, but it's going to be the Evolve Sim Sports Academy. That team there in 3rd place, Wesley, that is where all the top drivers are coming from into this race. That's going to be a strong team to watch here tonight, and they've got a lot of points, over 200 points that they've got to catch up to that of the Forge PC Racers Sports 1 group.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Of course, Forge PC Racer Sport 1, and there is multiple teams. You see now just outside the top 10, Forge PC Racer Sport 2. They're right there outside the top 10. They're in 11th. You look at everyone else there, Kinetic, Howler, Apex Tech, Dark Tempest Motorsports, Chris Durance, Dizzy Motorsports, Misfits, Alcan, The Line Red. I love these names, by the way, Samuel. They're very unique. But, of course, they're the team standings because not only is there going to be a driver champion, but there's also a manufacturer champion and there's also a team champion in the American Sportsman Major Series.
And also one of the last ones for the drivers that come in, it's our Legends Sportsman's point standings and where they're at. And it's the driver that won the last event. It's that of Robert Deloach, who's topping the board here with Maurice Gomillion. And Gomillion, he's going to be trying to come away with a strong run here tonight. Gomillion's been very good at the ovals, the road courses where he's been losing points in. I got to say, for Robert Deloach, he hasn't been looking very strong. If you look at the practice standings on his speed, it's going to be an opportunity for some of these drivers in the Legends to try to catch up to that Deloach.
So, the Legend Sportsman, is that for the veteran racers' name, basically for the guys that are up in age?
Yes,
the knowledgeable racers of the series.
This is for those wiser people.
Yes, I
out
mean
there.
no disrespect. I don't want to say it's for the old men.
No. It's for the ones that have outskilled. I mean, Robert DeLoach in our legend, you can't even say that they're not skilled because they are skilled. They found themselves into victory lane, but certainly this is for that older class of drivers. Just in case you felt like the young guns were being a little bit abusive to our elderly, they've got their own point standings. But here right now, less than 4 minutes to go in practice. And Wesley, we're going to take a look at our race information here tonight and what we're expecting to see here for these drivers. Currently, practice is going on right now, but also coming up, 10 minutes of qualifying, Wesley. The drivers are going to have 4 laps to try to put down the fastest lap possible. They had qualifying over the weekend to figure out where the drivers are going to be placed in their split of the Sportsman's or Pro Series. And we are now going to be covering that split 1, but that was just first qualifying. We're now going to be heading into our actual qualifying here in less than 3.5 minutes.
So let's take a little bit of a swing around this racetrack, or at least I'll give you a description of what is Road Atlanta and the dimensions of this race facility. Of course, if you did not know, Road Atlanta is a real facility, now known as Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, from the look at the tower billboard there beside the scorer's tower below the overhang bridge to the flag stand. Of course, it is located in Brazelton, Georgia. Samuel, it is one of 2 tracks that are located in Brazelton, Georgia that is on the iRacing simulator. Do you know the other one, my friend?
Would that possibly be Road America? Ah, well, I gave it a guess.
That's Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Road Atlanta is in Brazelton, Georgia. The other track that's on the iRacing simulator in Brazelton, Georgia, you could either run on dirt or pavement, is Lanier National Raceway, also known today as Lanier Raceplex, which honestly, Samuel, I've been to both racetracks in real life. It is basically 5 miles on the opposite side of the road from Road Atlanta. So Lanier Raceway and Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta are right in the same vicinity. I was just giving you a little trivia here. The track is 2.540 miles. It is an absolutely amazing facility built back in 1970, Samuel. And since the 70s, it has hosted everything from NASCAR, IMSA, road courses, go-kart events, sports car events, SCCA, motorcycles, pro-ams, driving schools, and so much more.
And for all those that are all around, I mean, it gives you a great opportunity to check out all that's near them. But tonight, like Whit has been told, this is the Porsche Wild, that of the Porsche Cup Wild. Again, this was an interesting race of racing for these drivers, as here's our race information presented by that of Lsr Racing TV. Have ourselves practice, qualifying, and then 2 40-minute races. For Wesley, we got to see kind of something similar to this back at that of Oran Park when we had our Lendown 240. When we got to see 2 races then. Similar format that we're going to be seeing here tonight with those 2 races. They're going to be back-to-back. There's going to be a warm-up in between to give the drivers a little bit of a rest time if they need it, or more practice for themselves. And at wherever they finish at the end of race 1, that's practically where they're going to be qualifying for race number 2, except for our top 6. They're going to be inverted. We'll talk more about that once we get closer to that second race. But we are 40 seconds away from finding ourselves into that of qualifying. And what made tonight so special is that we had 3 tracks being utilized today in our 3 different regions. We had our international region, as well as our European region, and the Americas that we are covering here currently right now. All 3 of them on very different tracks and courses, as that of Hungary going to be the first race for that of the international, as well as that of the Donington national course was used for the European race course, and then here for the Americas was Road Atlanta. And all drivers were told you can race in any of the splits and any of the tracks you want, but the region that you are representing, that is the track that you will earn your points at. So we're actually going to have the chance here, Wesley. There's a few drivers in this race that are actually from the European side of things. We'll see where they can lie during qualifying as we are entering that. As we get a little bit of a taste from the aerial view of how qualifying is going to be ran for these drivers. And Wesley, what a course this is, that at Road Atlanta.
It certainly is, Samuel. Of course, you are looking now at turns number 6 and 7 from the aerial view. That is known as the skid pad as you work your way through the S's. This is Nick Horvath, the 382 machine. This Porsche car Evolve. We'll see what he can do. on the racetrack. Of course, Road Atlanta, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is 12 turns. It's actually 10A and 10B. 10B is actually known as turn 11, but they call it 10B. They'll go around things called the paddock area, the paddock grid, just below the bridge that we showed earlier in the camera view. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be working their way through a part of the racetrack, Samuel, known as the S's. Once they work through the S's, they'll work into a passing zone area. The passing zone will then work your way where he's heading to right now, off of the S's area, to turn number 6 and 7, which is a sharp 45-degree turn, and that is known as skid pad. Once he comes around skid pad, he will then work his way to turn number 7, which seems like, Samuel, the back straightaway here at Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta will then go from the back stretch to 7, 8, and 9, then to turn number 10 to 10B. The pit entry is between turn number 11 to 12 before they reach the start-finish line, and that's a lap around Road Atlanta, my friend.
Road Atlanta, like you said, over a little bit over 2.5 miles, and Nick Horvath going to be one of those drivers who's going to be a driver to watch out for. Coming into this race, 8th in points with 2 top 5s, trying to get his first win of the season potentially for this 382. And been watching really for, these teams. You see the rumble strips, or the turtles, you could call them, being very aggressive for these drivers, but it's so much fun watching these drivers having to attack the rumble strips, trying to find as much grip and also finding ways to carve their way through this field and trying to make sure they maximize their speed here for qualifying. 10 minutes was given for these drivers. They're also given 4 laps to see if they can put down their best times. And Wesley, yes, these drivers are being aggressive to the rumble strips. They got to make sure they don't accidentally cut the course or go off into the grass, as that can invalidate the lap that they're on.
Again, no doubt about it, as we still continue to see the Porsche of Nick Horvath make his way around the racetrack on the clock. Remember, they have a 10-minute time limit for qualifying. Once that time limit begins, they are giving, as Samuel said, 4 laps. So let's say something. Horvath spins, smacks the wall. He gets another 2 chances to try to improve on his best lap time, because it's not an overall of everything accumulated for the average time, like at Indianapolis does. It's 4 laps. Your best lap of the 4, Samuel, determines the lineup. You see Chris Yadio going off course in the 27 Valvoline entry for Armstrong. He now, you see, will get a chance to able to go again, and they make sure he doesn't go off course to put down a better lap time.
Yeah, and Yedio is going to be a driver that everyone's going to keep his eyes on. With Yedio coming in with one of our top points and a driver that would love to get himself a win. Excited to see what speed this 27 can bring with Valvoline. And Wesley, just watching at this field, like we've noted on it with all the majors, there's a lot of schemes that are going to be looking familiar, as all the teams that came together running very, very similar schemes to one another. Yedio, though, coming with his own type of flair here this evening.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm liking this wrap job on this virtual machine of Chris Yadio, and I'm liking where it kind of brings back the retro throwback of when Mark Martin or Johnny Benson Jr. or Scott Riggs was behind the wheel in the NASCAR Cup Series of the Valvoline machine. And, of course, the Valvoline colors have evolved over the years since, the early 2000s, mid-2000s, Samuel. But I like that they're, putting that wrap somehow on that Valvoline car video.
Yeah, really kind of changing things up. Coming from that team, Pete Forge, PC Racer, usually all of them running very similar schemes to one another. So interesting that he's changing it up, but also getting a little bit more stylish as these drivers putting down their lap times. Again, a majority of the drivers, their goal, try to hit a 1:20.4 to a 1:19.9 second lap time. That is their goal around here. And as you saw there at the gap to the pole, very off the time is Yedio if he wants a chance. But here's our winner from our last race in the Lotuses at Phoenix. It's going to be that of Robert Deloach, who's on course.
And Deloach now, watching him wheel and deal in that Forge Racing entry for the Majors Garage. Thanks to the Majors Garage Series. Hey, by the way, like Samuel said, interact with us, man. Let us know how you're watching this event, round 5 of the season for the Major Series. This is the American Sportsman. They're tonight here at Road Atlanta. and Robert DeLoach working around the racetrack. There's fun ways to interact with us on social media. Samuel, tell them how we can do it, buddy.
Yeah, if we're wondering how are you viewing this, you can take a screenshot if you're watching on your phone or take a picture of how you're watching it. Use the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag LSRTV watch, and we will see how we can interact with you. We'd love to see how you're viewing this race here for the majors, and it's something we're trying to get a little bit more interactive with the fans. We know we have the chat and YouTube, great way to interact with you immediately in that way, and also we want to see you on other social medias. How can we talk to you there?
As we see now, Robert DeLoach working around the racetrack, laps continuing to conclude a 4. As DeLoach, we've been watching him for the few laps. Now we change up things up. We went to Dino Villa. Now we go to Sebastian Jackson. There's that. I'll tell you, I like the color on that car. The rainbow-looking machine of Sebastian Jackson in the 287, Samuel. He looks good.
Sebastian Jackson actually going to be coming in as our only independent, not a part of a team, is this 287. And Sebastian Jackson, looking at some of the other races that we've seen at the road courses, and a driver to watch out for, usually aiming for top 5 every single time that this 287 is on track. And here tonight, we're expecting a very similar thing. Might be going for a top 10 to top 5 if we see anyone else making any mistakes.
And just like that, we're watching this qualifying. Brian Schutte at the top of the box, 002. 120.52 seconds. So 120.46 his best lap. 120.47 for Nathan Medina. I'll tell you what, Samuel, just mere 100th of a second off of these two cars in the top. Spencer Todd right there in third in the 18 as we're on board now with Sebastian Jackson.
Yeah, Sebastian Jackson going to be just that of 3/4 of the way done with this course for himself. The time that this 287 is looking for is to be a 1 minute, 20 second .461 time through here of the chicanes of that of 10A and 10B. See that of the 287 flying and now coming up to the final bend before the straightaway.
And again, as we mentioned, that's 10A, 10B to 12, back to start finish. There you see the pits. They await there, and the pits are actually kind of unique, Samuel. You have to pit before you get to the start-finish line, and you don't come back around the entire start-finish line. Like basically the way that road course is set up at Road Atlanta, you're watching, if you come to the pits, the pit exit is actually going to turn 1 all the way in the middle of like an overflow area before you enter back on the racetrack. As we see one of our friends from the Northwest, a Daytona truck winner before, also in Cup, Stephen Paulison in 58. We'll see what he can do. One of the drivers representing Samuel, the Pacific Northwest, in that number 5, 58 machine.
Yeah, Stephen Paulson in this 58 machine has been making it to every single one of our split ones and has been so consistent on that fashion. And here tonight, going to be repping that of the Sector 5 racing team. And excited to see how Paulison's going to run here, but looks like that is not the lap he wants. And qualifying, going to be less than a minute. That is going to be qualifying for that 58 team. And for the majority of this field, there's only a handful of drivers still out on track trying to best their times, but it looks like we're also going to be seeing drivers calling it a time for themselves as 45 seconds left here for these drivers. Gives us a little bit of time to talk about our charity event. Again, talked about it, that of Vision El Salvador. Vision El Salvador is a missionary site of the Christian and Ministry Alliance located in the capital city of that of San Salvador. They seek to advance the kingdom of God by that of partner short-term mission teams and also that of interns with the local churches and schools. Also, if you'd like to get more information to go help out that of the Envision El Salvador, you can go to their website of that of being Envision LSalvador.com for more information and how to help, as it is a great cause. Been loving it every single majors event. They've been finding new charities or groups to partner up with, and Envision El Salvador Love to be having them with us as well as we're starting to grid up, Wesley. It's time to see where these drivers, after qualifying is done, they're going to be finding themselves getting set up. It's your team 126 Racing starting lineup, as it's going to be the 002 of Bryson Shutt's going to be your pole sitter, with Nathan Benita in the 25 for row number 1. Row 2, points leader Spencer Todd on the 18 is going to be lining up there with that as well. Newcomer from the European side, it's going to be that of Ryan Boomsa, who going to be there in the 30, as well as row number 3. We find that of Doug Buchanan, as well as that of Andrew Koska. Row number 4 is going to be Murphy Nichols with Cody Richardson. Row number 5 is going to be that of Sebastian Jackson, as well as Joseph Homa.
Moving on to row 6, Claude Bevel will be in the 560 to the outside. Michaela Lane in the number 62. Row 12. Row 7 will find Maurice Segomillion in the 44. Daniel Saline Howard in 29. Row number 8 on the grid will find Nick Horvath in the 382. Robert Covey in 72. Row 9, Robert Gamble in 28. Gerard Gilbert in 73. And as a standing start awaits, Chris Yedio 27. Max Sossler, the top 20 in 93.
Then we're going to be seeing that of Brandon Bellick, as well as Alonzo King, going to be in row number 11, as well as going to be seeing that of Gagaro Jr. and also Blanchard, that of Deloach, going to be in that row number 12. 13 is going to be that of Mikey, as well as Daughtery going to be in that of the 23 for row number 13, with that of Andrew Spicer, as well as Paulison. But green flag is out as the rest of the lineup goes through, and a great launch. Going to be the drivers up front. Spencer Todd's going to be in the launch, but Shout's going to be leading the way for that of the 002, as it's going to be side by side going down into turn number 1. And right now, Wesley, it's going to be seeing that of Brian, that of Boomsum, going to be leading the way for the 30 in second place for the newcomers of NRG Racing. But it's going to be surrounded in the pancakes of watching out for that of the Evolution Sim Sport Academy, going to be in first and third position.
The lights are on these Porsche machines and their kaleidoscope of colors. They work their way to the S's, up around the corner into turns number 4, 5 to 6, to the modal corner. They work now into that sharp angle they call skid pad. Skid pad now becomes the long back straightaway to turns number 7, 8, and 9. Shooty Bozema, followed by Todd Medina Nichols, the top 5, and they're all willing and dealing single file with those tails in the back in the early going.
And then further back, we're also seeing a little bit of side-by-side action for these drivers that are battling here. And I gotta say, for some of these drivers further back, this is gonna be the back markers of this pack. They've got to be careful not to get in too much trouble, as this is gonna be a 40-minute timed race. And it's not going to be cautions influencing this race. It's all about being up front, challenging, and a driver that's losing ground, going backwards. This is our points leader, Spencer Todd. Early troubles, trying to make a pass for second place, but it backfired, now dropping back to 7.
So the equivalent of a 40-minute run for 2 40-minute races is deemed by the Majors Garage Series officials to be 30 laps. But now you notice the time clock changed. It's now 38:13 remaining when the first lap was completed. And Shooty Bozema, followed by Nichols, Medina, Kotska. We remember the name at Daytona, Kotska, what a show he put on. And here's the thing, Samuel. As we work lap number 2 in this 40-minute timed race, you got to use the rumble strips as your friend. If you overtake those rumble strips,
issues saw it there, Wesley. Sorry to cut you off, but it's going to be that of Joseph Homa, going to be the man off course issues as you get on top of the hill, about to come down the chute on the speed strip, and just like that, you see trouble for some of these drivers. You don't want to see those issues climbing up, but luckily it was early, and Homan's got to get himself back into trouble moving forward. And speaking of trouble, talked about Spencer Todd. He continues to linger back as that 18 machine just keeps on going backwards.
Yeah, gotta wonder if there's something going on with Todd's cars. They work their way, working now into that corner. But as I was saying before we had the problem, Samuel giving us a call on that. Those rumble strips, Samuel, they can be your friend, but if you also do not drive them carefully, they could become your enemy. And I wonder if that's what happened to that driver of Hammond a moment ago.
Yeah, I mean, Hammond's going to have issues, but for Spencer Todd, had a black flag. I think he might have jumped the restart for the 18, and that's why he's been going backwards, hoping that he was going to not get penalized. And now going to have to do a drive-through penalty. And for our points leader, this is a massive loss for himself, as now he goes into his pit box, going to go for a hold, and then he's going to take off.
A penalty there for shooting, still the man leading. The 002. Boomsa right there to second, to the 30. Nichols, and there's this battle down between these Porsche machines, working through the corner. This is about working through the top 20, if you will. As Spicer, Sisler, going on board now with Daughtery. That goes on as they work their way back around into that turn up the hill, going to the S's.
Daughtery going to be really trying to make his way moving forward. Going to have that of Robert DeLoach in 24th in front of him, but all the drivers snaking their way, working with one another single file. It's all about setting up, coming down into turn 10 here, Wesley. The biggest passing zone for these drivers and the speed trap going into the chicane that the drivers are going into. The biggest mistakes you can make is locking up those tires, and they're hoping they don't get caught doing that. As another newcomer coming in, that's going to be that of the 560. Also coming from the European side of things, and the Europeans, the two that came out here tonight, Wesley, they're both in the top 10.
Working their way with Shooty Boomspa, followed by Nichols, Medina, Kotsko right now. They hold on to the top 5. Buchanan, Bevel with a good run up, charging. Richardson, Jackson, Horvath, the top 10 here in the opening laps. There's the Dog Bear Racing entry of the 560 of Bevel. He's got now Richardson and Jackson behind them. They stay single file as they move to skid pad in turn number 7.
And now trying to get back up into the throttle is take another look. Here's that of Sebastian Jackson. We love this team so much. The gradient as a little bit of puff of smoke going to be further up ahead. It looks like that puff of smoke going to be coming from the fit 25 of that of Medina. Luckily not losing any ground. Looked like could have been a lockup for these drivers, which is going to be something for us to keep our eyes on. Wesley, we talked about usually when we come to these races, we can look at the European, the international races, and get a sense of what the fuel mileage window is going to be like. Because all different regions ran different tracks, it's an unknown here tonight. We still, and the drivers are still questioning if they're even going to have to pit under any of these races.
Will they have to pit? That's the question as we pass start finish. Back into 1 and 2 again. Working their way around to the S's. These S's are like little snake corners, if you will. Honestly, Samuel, that's the best way to describe it. Like a slithering snake going left to right. Driver left, driver right. Think of the G-forces working your way. And you got to also think of when you got to make your mark to go for a pass, because it's a perfect time to do so, Samuel. But if you miscorrect in that wrong part of the track, it can also be bad luck for you as they work their way now to skid pad off turn 6.
Easily can find yourself just throwing this race away if you make any type of bad movement, as continue to watch these drivers cycling their way through. And right now, watching from up above from the aerial view, I mean, how thick the trees can be for these drivers. I mean, hard for aerial coverage to always get the calf per sure of every nook and cranny of how these drivers are running, but leading this pack right now going to be that of Cody Richardson. Here's a pass that's going on a little bit further ahead. It's going to be that of Sean Medina, off course, losing ground, and just like that, the 25 went from up front in 3rd, now dropping back to 6th.
And just like that, falling back. This is round number 5, the Porsche Cup Wild, the American Sportsman part of the event at Road Atlanta. And we got one spinning the 24. Spicer in trouble. High class entry. Looks like he's got some big damage on that Porsche. The headlights might still be shining brightly, Samuel, but the front of the car hood is gone.
Yeah, and looking back, I think it might have been contact between himself and that of Robert DeLoach going into the chicane, where drivers were just trying too many different aggressive moves, as we see the 24 going into his box. Luckily for these drivers, they do have a fast repair, so the race is not completely over for that of Spicer, but obviously this is not the way that he wants race number 1 to go. Just try to regroup, get back out on track, and gain as many positions as possible, because whatever your finishing position is for this race, that's where you're qualifying and starting out for race number 2, as we take another look at what got the 24 out of shape.
Watch it again, as Spicer was already around the back of the pack anyway. He was starting to climb. Here's the replay. It's presented by Pulse Poppers. I wonder if he had some help. I wonder if that car behind him on driver left maybe gave him a little shove. And yes, he did. And head into the wall, working through a part of the racetrack where you've got to get on the binder, Samuel, to make a sharp turn. And that's exactly what happened to Spicer. But he dusts himself off. He's one lap down. And again, he's got to try to find a way to get back that lap, which is probably inevitable to happen in 30 minutes remaining now in this first race. But yes, as you said, 2 40-minute timed events. The finish of race 1 will be inverted with the top 6, meaning the winner will start 6th, 6th will go to the pole, 7th on back, which will also be the running order of the finish, and that's how they start the second race, my friend.
Yeah, that second race is going to be so important. We saw it back at that of the Orland Park race when they were racing in the V8 machines for the Louddown 240. Both races had some great runs up front. I was between that of Buchanan and others, and I got to say, that was a great run at 2 different winners and great races for both. Here tonight, we're seeing a pretty similar thing for our leaders as they continue to race on. I got to say, this has been a good run for the majority of the night. But Wesley, that race too, it could just be just as entertaining as we're seeing here now as we're closing in with 30 minutes left.
Interact with us for those that are watching at hashtag LSR TV Watch and be able to be interactive. We'll put some of those things up here later on. As right now, there you see the 186 of Mick's car right there in the 20th position. These Porsche cars working their way around the Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. This is a 12-turn track. You gotta wonder as they work up the hill, coming back to start finish, Samuel, into turn B, working back around the start finish and avoiding the pit lane. We're really not gonna see anybody pit unless they have some type of massive crash, failure, or a penalty. You're not gonna have to pit in a 30-lap race, or 40-minute time limit, actually.
Yeah, that we're expecting no pit stops to be made, but there is no for sure confirmation on that. We're assuming that that's how these drivers are going to go, as fuel windows for a lot of strategies for these drivers have been questionable at times when we come to some of these courses, as we look at some of the drivers further up and how they're running. And right now for the 26, just getting a sense of how they're going to be up front, Wesley. It's been a lot more of conservativeship for these drivers, just try to get into their rhythm. That's the big thing for our leaders. Again, if you're up in the top 6, if you're 5th, 6th, it's not the worst thing in the world. If you feel like, hey, I can't compete for that of a top 3 finish, I'll drop for 5th and 6th. I'll get those front 2 starting spots for race number 2.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We'll keep an eye on that there as we watch the Dog Bear race entry closing in one more time. By the way, Boomsa is now the new leader. Boomsa in the race course. Brian Boomsa has right now almost a half a second back on Bryson Shuddy, followed by Murphy Nichols up 4 spots. Andrew Kotzka, Doug Buchanan, and Nathan Medina right now in the top 5, just outside 28 minutes. So right now, we're about 12 minutes completed in race number 1. This is twin 40-minute timed races. Remember, as Samuel said, this is round 5, Porsche Cup Wild, and we also mentioned that there's some international flavor.
Sorry to cut you off there. A little bit of smoke popped up at the top of the hill. That's going to be Gilbert in the 73 who goes off course. Puff of smoke, really going to scare these drivers, this pack that we're watching right now. Luckily, it happened behind them, but every single lap, these drivers got to be concerned. We're technically 9 laps in. And technically based on time, we're just 13 minutes in as we take a look here at what got that of Gilbert out of control here, as going to be climbing up through the S's, getting to the top of the hill, using the rumble strips, and just like this, getting a little bit too much of the rumble strips, hard on the brakes, and luckily didn't touch anything, but certainly losing time. So that's something you don't want to be losing too much of here tonight.
Didn't you say no harm, no foul, though? No harm, no foul. Keeps on going.
Only losing just that of 2 positions, but yeah, I mean, you got to take the advantage of the fact that you did not get into the wall, get any damage, but the tire wear, that's something that it's going to be hurting. It could be a long-lasting thing, especially with the fact that we still have that of coming up to still about 2/3 of this race left.
Samuel Dyer, I'm Wesley Outland, and this is the Majors Series in the Majors Garage. Charles Wooten always doing a great job. Jeff Stabdow behind the scenes, the Porsche Wild Cup. And hey, I don't know if Samuel kind of introduced it or not, but yeah, that's what I was telling you about. I was just going to say it. We've got a lot of cool new bells and whistles and gadgets and things going on. And Samuel, this is one of them. Our 3-camera shot on our broadcast coverage thanks to iRacing on LSR TV.
Yeah, we're seeing 3 camera shots showing off some of the great battling that's going on screen. Our main camera on the left, that is the battle that's going on for 3rd place. And the rest of the camera packages showing some of the other battles throughout the course. Our top right going to be that of where Yadio is running, which is going to be in the middle of the group. That's where we find Alonso King and Yadio battling against one another. And then also for our bottom, that of right, going to be the drivers that are battling further in our top 20 that are trying to crack in to our top 20 for themselves.
I love these 3 cameras as you're looking on different ends of the spectrum, if you will, on different parts of the racetrack. 20 to go. So they're saying 20 laps to go, which is, I guess, the equivalent of 20 minutes remaining. So basically the powers that be, Samuel, I honestly think believed that 40 minutes around this track would be 30 laps.
Yeah, it takes about, for these, it's all the calculators and for the computers to really analyze, to be like, all right, if we get to this amount of time, it could be this many laps for these drivers. And it's looking like it's calculating about 40 minutes of race time is the equivalent of 30 laps. So technically we are 11 laps in, coming up to the start of lap 12, as we see those lap counter now going to be the factor here tonight. It was basically timed, but with how the time was running, we're now going back to that of laps.
19 to go. Watching the 3-camera angle here. By the way, interact with us on social media at LSR TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, hashtag LSR TV Watch. Don't know how many people are watching, or if you check out the replay later, give us a screenshot. Let us know if you're, all right, Samuel, I don't want to creep anybody out, but if you're vegged out on the couch with the broadcast on the big screen TV, or if you've got a little small transistor television like back in the 70s or 80s, if you're part of the Legends class watching and somehow got internet, or let's say you're watching on your cell phone, or maybe you're on the beach, or maybe you're outside having a cup of coffee or a cup of joe or sweet tea or an adult beverage. Let us know who you're cheering for. If one of your fans and you're watching one of your favorite drivers or family member run, Samuel, we want you to be interactive with us. Hashtag LSR TV Watch. And again, Samuel, I think it allows us to be able to see how our audience is tuning in, but lets them be a part of the program, part of the broadcast now.
Absolutely. I know we got some of the Forge PC Racer fans out in the chat, and everyone's loving to see this of Murphy Nichols, 3rd place runner, trying to run down our front 3. And looking at the lap times here, Wesley, we're basing off how these drivers are running. Now, I got to say, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they're looking good on pace. Could have been playing a little bit of possum here as we ride on board with this of Andrew Koska and get a chance of how these drivers fare the S's going up the hill. And I gotta say, looking at our lap times, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they're running just slightly faster than our front 2.
And look at Andrew Kotka working his way up the hill, down the hill, back around through the S's. Here he goes around that corner again. As we mentioned, skid row, skid bend, here he goes around that sharp turn, that angle we were telling you. And this is what a part of the racetrack turns in to 7, 8, 9, and 10. Back to start finish, Samuel. That's a lot like a back straightaway, but it's not the back stretch. But for this road course, for Petit Le Mans, it is at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, this is where the speed trap is, maximizing your speed, going over 168 miles per hour, almost hitting 170 miles per hour, coming down into the chicane and out of it. And this is where the main passing zones can be, utilizing the draft, getting right on someone's back bumper, and then you question and you dare. Do you want to try to outbrake someone? And then onto the front stretch down in turn number 1. This is another good place to try to go for a passing zone. If you feel like you could carry more speed on the outside, you throw it there and try to utilize those outer rumble strips to keep yourself on track.
You're exactly right. As now we look at that, I think it was the 147 or the 047. Check that. That is the driver of Kotska. Andrew Kotska, both in Porsche cars. His teammate Buchanan behind him. And why do you say they're teammates, Samuel? Because they are driving cars that look identical, unless somebody's trying to psych the other one out.
I mean, you can always try to psych one another out, but it'd be kind of weird to see. But these drivers running for that of Mad Sim Racing, second in points coming in tonight on the team points side, and this is a great run for both these drivers. Again, their goal, be out the Evolve Sim Sports Academy drivers, and the drivers that were leading that group was Spencer Todd, and Todd, with his troubles with that great qualifying of third, but he's always back at 29th. This is a great first race for that of Mad Sim Racing, for their opportunity to try to grasp some more points and catch up to that of the Evolve Sim Racing team.
17 to go now as they work their way back around here at Michelin Tire Road, Atlanta. This is Alonzo King. This is on the back camera with him as Yedio's reeling him in. Look at them all closing in. Yedio, Lane, Covey, Victor. They're there, but they can't open the door, Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, this whole entire group right now, 14th back to 18th, all within a half a second of one another, and just keeping on top and really keeping everyone in their P's and Q's on where they're running currently. Don't want to make any too big mistakes, and that's right now where Yadio's trying to do. Get this 27 right on the back bumper of the 21 of Alonzo King that we're on board with, and to do anything to force an issue, but riding right on top of those rumble strips. Got to be careful. We've already seen drivers have troubles of hitting those rumble strips wrong and going for a spin. As they're climbing through the S's, this is the opportunity. If you can get a good run through the S's, you got a shot to try to make a pass up into turn number 5 and up into 6 and 7, but you got to be close enough, and Yadio just not enough. Even though he tried to outbrake for a quick moment, just needs a little bit more speed out of the S's, but I gotta say, Yadio, he's got to be careful. Lane is right there pressuring that valve-only machine.
Boomsa has been the dominant man so far in this 40-minute timed race for race 1. Remember, they'll reset and they'll go again for race number 2 with the top 6 inverted in the finishing order, meaning whoever wins the race, Boomsa would be starting 6th. Medina would go on the pole. And that second 40-minute sprint here at Porsche Cup Wild for American Sportsman on iRacing on LSR TV for the Majors Garage Major Series, Samuel, will be coming up just immediately after race number 1. So really, what kind of a break do they really have? Not much.
They're going to have a 10-minute break, so that's going to be plenty of time for them to get reset, maybe go to the bathroom, get some food, just resettle, recheck before going into race number 2, which is also going to give us a little bit of a break for ourselves. But that's going to be the big thing for these drivers is you have to be focused for this first race. Be aggressive, be assertive, put yourself in the best positioning for that second race. Maybe you didn't qualify as well, but you feel like you still got a fast Porsche out there. Send it. Give everything you can. And right now, we've seen a couple of drivers do just that. Alonzo King, who we were watching for the longest time, he is our biggest mover up 8 positions. As we look at some of our leaders, this is when things get questionable. This is where we're watching that of Murphy Nichols, Kotska, as well as Buchanan, and also Medina behind these 2 Mad Sim Racing drivers. These are the drivers that are in the back half of our top 6. If we finish where they are right now, they will be inverted, and they will actually be our front 3 qualifying into race number 2.
Boomsa, Schutte, followed by Nichols, Kotska, Buchanan, the top 5. Medina, remember, as we said, they'll be the invert. 6th on the pole, 1st to 6th. Everyone else from 7th on back will run in race 2. And I find that refreshing that there is going to be some type of a time, if you will. Because here's another thing, Samuel. 14 to go. There's no caution flags. We will not see a yellow flag in these races, much less are we going to see green flag pit stops happen either.
We're assuming that there's going to be no pit stops for these drivers. We still are waiting to see for confirmation on that, but certainly this is a race where we're not sure exactly what we're going to get ourselves into. But I got to say, watching these drivers here tonight, thought there was an opportunity for these drivers that are a part of, the realm that we've been watching of our regulars that are in the Americas. We have an opportunity with Boomsa still in the lead, an opportunity to see a European come in and steal race away from our Sportsman's American drivers.
13 to go. I'll tell you what, Samuel, explain the difference to our audience between, obviously the major series, and they mimic major events all over the world in racing, in motorsports. And the Porsche cars are nothing like the race cars that we normally cover for iRacing on LSR TV. Tell us a little bit about these bad mamma jammas besides the bright headlights that I'm coming to light.
Yeah, these are going to be our Porsche 911 GT3s, part of the GT3 class of vehicles. There's actually 7 of them, many different versions, but these are usually used in endurance racing and as well going to be vehicles that are racing, as you're seeing right now, in their own class. So drivers right now getting to test their own skills. And for that, watching these drivers in the Porsche Cup Wild, got to test all the different regions, got to get a little bit of a test of all the different race courses and all the different regions on where their big courses are for the Cup, for that of the Porsche Cups. And so right now, as we're riding on board with the 4 of that Joseph Homan, who Homan, got to remember, was caught up in an earlier incident. He's done a great job rebounding up to 23rd. But these drivers throughout the whole entire majors running old classic fashion of what we call the major events that were being ran, and also current major races that are ran here. And today, we're running one of the current ones with the Porsche Cup Wilds running here at Road Atlanta.
Michelin Tire Road Atlanta here in Brazelton, Georgia. Look at them size each other up. Joseph Homan. Homan now for that spot. And this is in the top 25. This is for 22nd, 23rd, 25th on the racetrack, working back to start finish. And they're closing in on 12 laps to go. Boomsa, Shooty, Nichols, Konska, Medina, the top 5 back around. Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta into turn number 1 and 2 through the snakes known as the S's, those slithering corners, working their way back to the skid pad, Samuel, and it's still Boomsa dominating this race so far in race number 1.
That he is, and also another driver that's trying to recover if possible, moving up by that of Buchanan, now trying to make the pass here on Kotska into that of the chicane here at 10A and 10B. Medina making the pass look easy, potentially a crossover move, not close enough. Is that of the 047. Drivers otherwise side by side. Here comes that of Cody Richards, going to be getting by that of Sebastian Jackson. And Jackson with the white to purple gradient, going to be losing that position as they go down the final bend on the straightaway. And for right now, this has been some great racing for the drivers up in the top 10.
Boomsa, Shooty, Nichols, Medina, Konska. All of these drivers holding on their spots here. And you see no change in the positions as now we watch the 064. That's Richardson in 7th position. Jackson right behind him as they work through the S's now, Samuel. Coming to skid pad, working to that make-do Michelin Raceway backstretch, coming back around to turn 7, 8, 9, 10A, 10B to start finish at 12. And this is probably, my friend, the best battle on the racetrack. We're seeing it here going on for 7th and 8th.
Yeah, down into the long stretch. Going to be watching Sebastian Jackson. How is he going to set up here on Richardson? Down into the straightaway on the back stretch through turns 9. Now heading to the bend into turn that of 10A and 10B. But Jackson trying to set up already early into 10A. Going to be side by side into the chicane. Can Sebastian Jackson outbrake? Richardson outbrakes him into the corner. That could give an advantage here for Jackson out of turn 10B. Not able to keep it close, but through the final bend, still an opportunity here, Wesley, into turn 1. This is where Jackson's setting up through the final bend, but the passing action is right here into turn 1.
They are in turn 1, and there you see another flurry of activity behind that battle with Richardson and Jackson. Here comes King, Yetio, Lane, and Covey. This is positions number 14 through 17, and we go high above. Aerial coverage brought to you by Live Sim Racing. and look at them reel each other in. 1 car length to 2 car lengths, and this battle of all of these different groups of teams going at it here from the top side, moving through what is the S's of the racetrack, Samuel. And it's amazing how an aerial view makes this track look so differently from the side camera angles here, watching the racing now back closing in.
Yeah, I mean, from the aerial view, you could see it there, Wesley, the accordion effect of the drivers picking and choosing how they wanted to enter one corner compared to the next. You kind of have to set up your first corner into the second, and then that second corner can set you up into your third. That's how the S's are so interesting to watch, because if you take a shallow entry trying to maximize your speed in the first corner, it can hurt you on the next 2. That's why we're seeing these drivers really not able to break away from one another, especially through the S's, where you have to follow the driver in front of you. If they're running slower in that spot, I just hope you're close enough once you get out into turn number 5 that you can have a chance to make a pass on the outside. But watch out here. Audio under pressure. Here comes Lane down into the chicane as we move up to go see some other drivers' actions. Here's Murphy Nichols for 3rd. He's finding himself being a little bit of lonesome. He's in no man's land. No one's around the 5.
And we see 9 laps to go as well. We're under 10 remaining. Boomsa's still the leader. Look at this now going on. 1 wrong slip by this car, and that's, of course, Medina. And he's going to lose ground for 4th. That's the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, as Kotska and Buchanan, who are teammates of those gold and black cars, running down the black and green Porsche GT3 of the number 047, Kotska Buchanan after Medina. And there is on board with Nathan Medina, and they were just reeling him in, Samuel, and now just like that, they've lost ground on him again as they work into 10, 8, 10B, and 12.
Yeah, Medina going to be rolling a part of the Team Vengeance Motorsports. And kind of surprising, usually we see about 4 to 5 Vengeance Motorsports drivers coming into each split that we cover. Here tonight, only 2 from Vengeance Motorsports, going to be that of Nathan Medina, currently we're riding on board with, as well as that of Daniel Gargo Jr., going to be the other Vengeance Motorsports driver. But for that of Gargo, he's going to have issues. But speaking of issues, right there we see it. Holman, as well as that of Darter, going to be the 2 drivers making contact. And just in a blink of an eye, Wesley, they're having issues.
You knew it was bound to happen, Samuel. They were fighting for position, and it was starting to get antsy, as we were also told from race control. 10 minutes remaining in the first 40-lap segment. Look at this going on between these 2 drivers of Donnery and Holman. And there was a little aggressiveness there, maybe some give and take, but honestly, you go off the track, nowhere to go, and then you see the end result. Maybe they could have backed off a little bit, but Holman already had bad luck in the race. But now Daughtery gets the worst part of it, and his car is badly damaged. But they keep going. No caution now with under 10 minutes remaining and 8 to go in this first 40 twin race.
Also, the other driver that we saw that was heavily involved from that of Forge PC Racer, it was going to be that of Andrew Mikey, who was going to be involved with that incident. And then, even after that, there was a second issue that we didn't catch, but it was going to be that of Robert Covey that was involved with an incident for himself. But we go back to live racing action, where we see that of Cody Richardson and Sebastian Jackson right back at it again. And Richardson has figured out the chicane pass perfectly. But Wesley, the time's clocking down and the laps as well. And for Sebastian Jackson, he has to set up once more to try to go for this pass. That was for 7th place.
Boomsa, Shuddy, Nichols, Medina, Kotska, top 5. And there you see now again, Richardson and Jackson. Our broadcast crew go right back and pick it up again for the position outside the top 5 for 6th and 7th. And all the while now, Samuel, here comes Horvath. We've mentioned him quietly creeping up now in the home stretch up to the 9th position. Bevel comfortably there in the back. If you saw him come up the hill with his bright headlights in the top 10, that's the way they stand with 7 to go.
Yeah, and watch out, this real battle we've been watching, it's in between that of Sebastian Jackson and Richardson, but because they've been duking it out so much, losing ground, it's going to be that of Nick Horvath who's going to be joining into the mix. That 382, he's right on the back bumper, going to be about a second back, but here comes Sebastian Jackson once again, going to be trying to set up, but it's going to be seeing that of Richardson giving up the outer lane, trying to go for the preferred inside, almost contact. They do make contact. Jackson off course. Here comes Horvath on the outside at a 10B. It's going to be the 382 making the pass, and now just going to be about a half a second off of where Richardson is.
Crazy racing right there, and you're seeing it starting to pick up again, Samuel. We mentioned those laps winding down and the aggressiveness showing, because here's the deal. Can I say something else, Samuel? That battle is also for either starting on the pole or outside front row in that second race. Remember, Richardson, if he can get around Buchanan, because Buchanan's got it now, he will start on the pole for race number 2. But right now, Boomsa is still the man dominating. Look at them weasel their way through the S's as we watch that Valvoline 27 machine now of Yedio come after King. Gamble and his missed, as well as Go Million with 5 to go in the open hand next time around.
Yeah, I want to give an update on that 6th position you were talking about of Buchanan and Richardson. There is a 6.2 second difference, and Buchanan continues to pull away from Richardson. That contact for the 064, it is hurting that of Cody Richardson. He's losing ground, but like you said, watching the battling on screen, this is for 14th of Alonzo King, our biggest mover of the night. Besides that, Avella, who's going to be back in 20th, who's moved up 9 positions. King has moved up 8. But it's going to be that of Yadio, who's still lingering, waiting, and no longer having the pressure from Kofi, who was taken out that of 4 laps ago. Yadio's just got to be patient, set himself up, and also they're waiting to see what Maurice Gomillion and Robert Gamble are going to do in front of him.
This is the 5th round of the Major Series, presented by Majors Garage, iRacing on LSR TV, and this is the Porsche Wild Cup, the Porsche Cup Wild from the American Sportsman bracket at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And we're coming to the home stretch now. You would say 5 laps to go, Samuel, and probably 5 minutes to go. As Boomsa still continues to lead, we watch this hornet's nest of competition continue going on between Medina, Kotska, and Buchanan, who would settle out the final positions on the invert in race 1.
Yeah, and these drivers, it is less than 5 minutes to go. 5 laps to go, giving us also a little bit of breathing room, knowing that once the timer runs out, we then get the white flag for these drivers. That's why they're racing so hard. But this is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th on screen. These are the 3 drivers. If they finished out where they're at, they would be inverted, and actually would be that of Buchanan, who's running that in the 26th. 3rd driver in line of this group that we're watching, who would actually have the pole position. Medina, though, thinking I need every single point and hoping he could stay in 4th as these laps continue to tick away.
So remember, the clock will expire and they'll take the white flag, which is basically, as we said, the equivalent of a 30-lap event or a 40-minute time run. And I'll tell you, Samuel, this has been rarely interesting. I know it's a different kind of racing than what you and I are used to normally calling here, or you're watching on iRacing on LSR TV with the Majors Garage and the Major Series. But these cars are unique, and they're majestic, and they're a novelty to watch. And it's a different form of racing, but they're also very respectable in this American Sportsman program. And as we said, they're very competitive also as we come to the stretch of race 1.
Yeah, I mean, we've been watching the same, about 4 or 5 battles, just cycling through them because these drivers cannot get away from one another. As we look back here at the 4, this is going to be Homan. See what issues the 4 has. He's been just having a snowball type of an evening. It's the rumble strip out of the final bend, down into turn number 1. But it looks like this could be where the issue arises for the 4. But gotta say, Wesley, this has been an interesting time as there he goes off track, just carrying too much speed as Homan. That's about the 3rd time I've seen him go off course and try to just hopefully stay off the wall. Will do so out of the grass and finally back out on track.
All them replays presented by Pulse Poppers. And of course, Boomsa has been the man at the drop of the green. Let's be honest here, Samuel. Shooty had the fast time. Boomsa right there with him. And when it's been done to the drop of the green, Brian Boomsa went up 3 spots on the start. Never looked back, and he has been the fast man all day in race number 1 as we're working now lap number 26, mind you. in this 40-minute time run. They'll get a break. We'll take a break. They'll reset. We'll rehash things, and they'll come back and go again. But right now, Samuel, Brian Boomsa simply dominated in the number 30, as here comes now Go Million and Yediel going at it, as there's been a 2-minute warning given. Just like in football, Samuel, a 2-minute warning here in the 40-time race number 1.
And also looking at other battles, is this going to be the Medina as well as Costco fight that's going on and inching closer and closer, the lap and the time ticking away for these drivers, and not recognizing we got to make the pass now or on the next lap. 2 laps to go on our ticker for now. About a minute and a half left. Expecting this next lap to be given the white flag for that of Boomsma, who's going to be up there in the lead. Our European driver that came in just to have fun, even with the win for the 30, will not be grabbing points because he's technically in the European division. And so for that of the 30 machine, just out here having fun, giving that of Shooty the opportunity, who's in second place, to be gaining the most points of our American Sportsman Series.
And Brian Boomsa still that man out up in front. And here this battle continues. There he is again. Finally, they show him. Boomsa, he's just been so dominant. Nobody's been able to catch him. A matter of fact, Samuel, he's picking off back marker cars one by one, picking them off, putting them down as they work their way back around the backstretch into 9, 10, 10A, 10B to 12, and coming for what looks to be the CRN1 to go. White flag this time around for Brian Boomsa. And what a fast 40-minute race this was, Samuel.
Yeah, we're waiting to see for confirmation. Again, there's still about 20 seconds left, and this is going to be told the final lap for that Brian Boomsma, who's going to be up there leading and now trying to figure out how to get by that of Andrew Mikey, who's going to be in the 186. The NRG Racing Team driver has been looking so strong here this evening, qualified 4th, and now going up through turns 3, 4, into the S's and climbing up on the top of turn 5. Got to be making a decision. Do you get by that Mikey, or do you just stay behind and watch? But got to watch out. There's some still strong drivers behind.
Working their way up in there through the S's, coming back around to the skid pad, around to the Moto Michelin final corners that lead to the finish of this race. Right now, Brian Boomsa, big lead over Shooty. He has a 2.5-second margin as they head down the back straightaway. They're coming to the checkered flag this time, and they're getting ready to reset it again. Samuel Dyer, take us to the checkered flag of race 1.
Down into close to that chicane. Will we see the 30 decide to follow suit? Looks like we'll do so. But Mickey gonna get out of sorts. Mikey, excuse me, gonna be locking it up. And now holding on, almost getting loose in front of our leader as he coming around the final bend. Brian Boomsma gonna be the driver that came in as the European driver, showing out to the Americas and winning here for race number 1 of that of the Porsche Cup. Wild goes to the 30 of NRG Racing Team.
Brian Boomsma comes across the line, representing our international flavor. Brian Shooty will finish in 2nd. Murphy Nichols will go 3rd. Looking at Medina following the rest of the field across the start-finish line. Here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, Brian Boomsma did not be denied, Samuel. I think he has Road Atlanta figured out. And I think they better also be ready, because 6 is not many cars to try to get around on a standing start. And keep an eye on that NRG gold number 30. He could possibly pull out that broomstick here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlantic virtually and sweep round 5 of American Sportsman for the Major Series tonight.
But we still have not seen that happen all year long here, Wesley. We had one other race that we doubled down on. That was at Orem Park, where we saw the drivers running 2 V8 races. We had the same invert happen, and it gave these drivers, we saw there at Buchanan, find his win in race number 1. Was not able to get the 2nd win in race number 2. Could be a similar strategy here as we look at our unofficial race results. It's going to be that of Brian Boomsma, going to be in that 1st position for the 30, with also that of Bryson Shooty in 2nd. Murphy Nichols going to be in third, with that of Nathan Medina going to be in fourth, with Andrew Koska going to be in that fifth place position, with Doug Buchanan in sixth. Cody Richardson and Nick Horvath had a great battle for themselves for seventh and eighth. It's going to be Richardson taking that position, with Sebastian Jackson and as well the other European going to BC, and that of called Belleville going to be in that 10th position for the 560.
So as we continue to give you the rest of the rundown here of the rest of the starters, 30 took the green as our NC811 unofficial results here tonight for race 1 here for the major series in the Porsche Cup Wild. You see the rest of the drivers: Howard, Gamble, Yedio, Go Million on back to Lane in the top 20. You go to the top 30 now, and remember, the top 6 positions in finish invert 6 to 1, 1 to 6. Everyone else will start in those spots where they finished up. Samuel, they'll have a 10-minute break. Stop, rest, reset, take advantage, rest, and get ready to go again for another 40-minute sprint here in the Porsche Cup Wild.
Yeah, for these drivers, this is now going to be 10 minutes of just, for some, rest up. You might have been sore, might have been starting to feel a little bit of fatigue of, all right, it was racing a little bit too aggressive with the drivers around me, going to take this break. Other drivers, they're getting right back on track. Some drivers did not have the run that they wanted in race number 1. They're going to find those interesting spots for themselves. And right now, I mean, for a lot of these drivers, it is time to do so. But for us, as the drivers are having their 10 minutes of wind down or warm up for themselves, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a bit for race number 2 of the Porsche Cup Wild here at Road Atlanta.
Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outlet up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway. Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel, ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on nc811.org or the NC811 app.
This is our series,
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it?
They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
When do you plan on putting in that new fence we've been talking about since last summer?
I guess I could start tomorrow.
Protect the ones you love and protect your buried utilities by contacting 811 before you dig, either by phone, the web, or the NC811 app. Know what's below before you dig. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
Hey, welcome back to coverage of the Major Series presented by Majors Garage Round 5, Porsche Cup Wild. Samuel Dyer, Wesley Outland back here with you. Samuel, Brian Boomsa, what a performance this international man made. He come in, run with these American sportsmen. He didn't run with them. He dominated them and beat them. The question is, we've not seen it all year. Can somebody pull out that broomstick and go for the hat trick here tonight in the race at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta?
Yeah, race 1, like I said, Boomstow was really the dominant driver, and honestly, let's see if he can carry that over moving on. But again, like we've been noting on, it is now going to be inverted for these drivers. So our front 6, where they finished on that last race, they're now going to be seeing our front 3. They're going to be our back 3 for our top 6. So they're going to have to work through a little bit of traffic. And I think this is where we can find Boomstow. He qualified well. He qualified third. He got a great launch that placed him up front for making the pass for the lead very easily. Now he's got a little bit more traffic that could get him some damage. That's going to be the big thing here for race number 2, Wesley. We might see some bumping off of one another after that first race. There were a couple of contacts we saw. It could be something that changes up race number 2.
And it is the LSR TV Mid-Race Report. And again, this is a very unique race here at Road Atlanta, as Samuel and I talked about in the broadcast for race 1. We don't normally see these kind of cars first, Samuel. The formats are rather unique because normally we go like straight 200 miles, 300 miles, green to checker on lap counts. This race is basically on a time limit, and you got to find the right number, which, by the way, I do got to give them mad props. They said that there was going to be close to 30 laps in a 40-minute race. They were at 29.5 when the event concluded at the checkered flag for Brian Boomsa. So they actually hit the nail perfectly on trying to estimate what the lap count would be for a 40-minute timed event, Samuel.
Yeah, there was a rough estimate. They were thinking, well, if the leaders get caught up in a wreck, there's an opportunity for us to go 33 laps. But if they're flying at max speed, their tire wear isn't too bad, it could be up to 29 laps. So they found that sweet middle ground, and what a way to watch it there. Got to give credit to the technology for calculating on how many laps there were going to be.
So I got a question. What are we going to see in race number 2, Samuel? If you're one of those guys right now and you've got less than 4 minutes left, maybe less in your warm-up session or just a chance to take a break, and you're one of the guys in the back, what do you change to move on your car to come to the front? Or is this one of these races where you got what you got? You might make some channeling, might make some changes, maybe tire pressure, but the car is what the car is, kind of like IROC, if you will, and we're going to see whatever happens coming up here for the second race as the cards fall.
Yeah, there's a few drivers that I'm expecting to really carve their way through. Spencer Todd, I think, is going to be the biggest one. Got caught up with his penalty, had a stop-and-go penalty on lap 1 that put that 18 so far back. Came into this race, and race number 1, I should say, as our points leader after race number 1, could be dropped even further back. So we'll see how Spencer Todd can carve his way through this field. Hopefully he doesn't get another penalty, but there's a few other drivers, that of David Gagaro Jr., as well as Maurice Gomillion, and a couple of other drivers that actually hit the track here during warmups and have been putting on a lot of time and on the course. I think they're all just trying to keep themselves warm, get used to this track still, find those little small ways to find some extra speed before race number 2 starts here in just about 2 minutes.
Can anybody beat Brian Boomsa, do you think? Or do you think with this invert 6th, it's like I mentioned before we went to commercial break, Samuel, at the end of the first 40-minute time run, 6th is not a very big margin on back on an invert. You're right up there in the front, and it's a standing start, mind you, again, as we said. Do we see Boomsa get up there quickly, follow the same strategy from race 1, or is somebody playing possum and going to try to put the stops on him?
Yeah, I think if anyone's going to have the best opportunity, it is going to be seeing that of Bryson, Schutte, who's going to be the biggest driver there in the 002. He's going to be having the best shot, but he's going to be side by side on this restart. Both drivers, for that of Schutte and Boomsma, they both are going to have to figure out how to get a good launch, get their way through our front 4, and get up front as fast as possible. Whoever does that the best and is able to get the big enough lead, they're most likely going to find this win, especially for Schutte. If he can find himself with a 2-second lead and be in front of that of Boomsma, I think he's got a good opportunity to try to steal this race away.
And again, no on activity right now until we get ready for that second 40-time run race coming up here in just a matter of minutes. I'm understanding it's less than a minute. So, Samuel, you were talking about, as we'll wrap up our LSR TV Mid-Race Report and get ready for the lineup of race number 2, you talked about we're trying to help charity, as we always do for the Major Series. Let everybody know what is a part of tonight's Porsche Cup Wild and what they can do.
Yeah, each race, we've got our own charity event that's going on, and tonight is going to be that of Envision El Salvador and their charity event, mainly to try to help missionary groups and help in the Salvador region. They've a group that if you want to help and find ways to help them, go to that of envisionelsalvador.com for more information to donate or find ways to help in person. And they're big. It's a help. We're great to see each race. They find a different charity to work with, and it's awesome to see Wesley.
And it's going to be exciting to see what happens next. We now go back to on-track activity as that wraps up our LSR TV Mid-Race Report with Samuel and I. We'll get ready now for this field to grid. And honestly, They're going to come back and they're going to go for a standing start, Samuel. There's just an invert. Remember, 6 to first, first to 6. So Boomsa will be in row 3 on a standing start. What's it going to take for Boomsa to get quickly back out in front and be in front when he hits the S's on the opening go there, Samuel?
It's got to be on the clutch. Find yourself finding the right RPMs to switch into first gear and take off it as quick as possible. And hopefully you find that grip. As Wesley, here's our first couple of rows on where the driver's going to start.
So remember, there's the invert that we talked about, and it's Doug Buchanan who will now be on the pole. Andrew Kotska on row number 2. Row 1. Row 2 will find Nathan Medina in the 25 and Murphy Nichols in the 5. So there's the invert, and now row 3 will find the runner-up and the winner. Brian Sinshuti in the 002. Brian Boomsa alongside. Row 4. We'll try to get to this grid very quickly. As a matter of fact, Cody Richardson, Nick Horvath, they put on some good racing earlier. Your top 10 will also include Jackson and Bevel here at Road Atlanta.
The rest of the field is just going to cycle on through. But Wesley, it is time. We're green. We're racing.
The biggest change, and that's why we kind of more elaborated as they go for that whole shot. That's one of the things we talked about, Samuel, that we elaborated on as they worked into turn 1. And look at Buchanan. Remember what he did in the race in Australia. And now he shows his momentum up in front. Kotska right there. Medina Nichols. And look at now Boomsa, Samuel, all the way back to 14th as they work through the S's, heading to skid pad on the opening lap.
Yeah, and that all started on the restart and really was not able to get through the gears. Talked about wanting to make sure he got through the gears as clean as possible. Was not able to do that and is shuffled all the way back to 12. And also more issues. There goes the 30 off track.
Oh no! When it rains, it pours.
I mean, this is exactly kind of like how we saw Spencer Todd's issues, just one issue piling onto another as we take another look at just the ways this piles on, trying to find his way through the field as he was trying to battle here with Gagaro Jr. and just getting a little bit too impatient, trying to get aggressive was the 30. And Boomsa, our winner from race 1, tries to get a little antsy, but it all backfires.
Samuel, can you say that, well, oh, look at this, there's the contact. He got clipped, or he clipped the left or the right rear side of a car, and that made him lose that momentum.
More issues striking even for some more drivers that are up front. Andrew Kotska going to be involved with an incident at the top of turn number 4. I mean, out of turn number 7, and also Alonzo King going to be having issues. It's piling here for race number 2. Drivers are getting too antsy, and they're striking all over the place.
Did we literally just see another car spin on the bottom left of the monitor? I believe we did in real time. There's Yedio. Robert Gamble, another driver we know, Samuel, from the Northwest. There's a car poking out of the groove in the right.
That's Cody Richardson.
Yes, Richardson now. Drivers that were pretty darn good in the first 40-minute sprint, Samuel, are now struggling in the back.
You got to remember, majority of these drivers took the 10-minute warm-up. Instead of trying to get on track and keep those hands warm in the final about 2 minutes, they just all sat and waited. And that could have been the fact that they were just trying to calm down, took a break for themselves coming back. We're not used to these fresh, cold tires and all this coldness and trying to crank up the heat so they can get some better runs. But it is hurting these drivers here early on as more drivers having issues. But we're watching the battling right now as you see that of Homan. Homan, who had an issue on the start of this race for race number 2, it piles on once again for the 4.
He has bad luck here at Porsche Cup Wild both times in his number 4 machine as Homan goes off the racetrack. And that's the thing, Samuel. We see the 29 on pit lane. This is Howard in the pits, which is very ironically, unless you get like a penalty or you need to get massive repairs done, you're not going to see anybody come to the pits. We saw no one pit in the first race. But Samuel, what I mentioned talking about Homan or Boomsa or Richardson, you have some bad luck. You fall back. You lose a lot of time. And the next thing you know, you might be finding the leader running you down trying to lap you in the process.
Yeah, and you were talking about having to require damage for some of these drivers. That's what Joseph Homan has. He has to come into pit road to get service done. As we take another look at some of the further drivers' issues that might have been happening for themselves, we take a look at the two of Trossen, and going to be one of those drivers that spent a lot of time in the warm-ups trying to get a good run. Going to have that Abumsa right on the back of the two, and I wouldn't be surprised if the aggression level kicks in here as Boomsa goes down, makes contact, and that's a spot where you really can't make a pass, but forcing the issue and taking out both drivers.
Got down in unison and both cars hooked each other. The Dog Bear number 10, the GSM entry of Boomsa and Brent Trossen about got on his lid or about flipped the machine of Boomsa, but they hold it together. Brian Boomsa now in the 26th position, all the way to the back, and now he's fell all the way, trying to climb again up the ladder. As, believe it or not, Samuel, Nathan Medina is the leader. Doug Buchanan is second. Murphy Nichols, Nick Horvath, and Brian Schutte in the top 5. And you said, Samuel, keep an eye on Schutte. You think that's the car to watch in the 002 right now in 5th.
Going to be the driver to watch out for him. And besides that, Abumsa was flying out there. One of the few drivers that actually was able to put down a 1 minute, 21 second lap time under our first race conditions. And right now, it's going to be that of Nathan Medina, who is the only driver who's been able to consistently put down a 1 minute, 21.9 second lap time for 2 laps in a row. This 25 is flying, trying to pull away from the rest of the field as we're watching the battling for 14th. This is going to be Maurice Gomillion, Spencer Todd. I talked about Todd. Had that black flag jump the start on race number 1, had to come into pit road and have a holding penalty. Now the 18, trying to make the pass for 14th place.
Medina, and there you see now this battle going on. I believe this is in the top 15, Todd and Gomillion. And now we change things up again with Nichols and Buchanan trying to also come after Medina. This was now for first, second, third, changing up those spots, working through the S's, coming down into that corner through more S's. This track is 12 turns long if you count the 10A and the 10B being turn 11. Back to start finish here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Medina still hitting his marks. You said, Samuel, keep an eye on him. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to stay in the catbird seat. But I'll tell you, Nichols is strong, and Buchanan, the winner earlier when we ran the race in Australia, the rundown 200, he sits there in 3rd spot.
Yeah, and watching these drivers right now, this is going to be a big thing for these drivers. They are trying their best to hold on at the best that they're possible, and I'm curious to watch as we're talking about, hey, where are you watching from? Well, this is going to be from that of the garage, watching that of Murphy holding strong. That is what they're doing out here, watching our stream from the living room and having some fun. And Wesley, I think that's the big thing, is we're seeing the media kick in. We love to see it. If you want to see your picture of where you're watching, use the hashtag LSR TV watch. We'll see if we can get how you're watching the race as we're watching the side-by-side action going on track. Might be able to throw you up on stream as well.
Did you do your picture during the broadcast from the booth, Samuel? I did mine.
I was so focused on this racing action, I have not even thought about touching my phone yet.
I got you. Well, of course, at LSR TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, use the hashtag LSR TV watch. And we watch them now, working through the S's. What a great segue into that. With Nichols still the leader, but not for long, Samuel. Medina, Buchanan, Horvath, Schutte. Here come the top 5, reeling him in like bait on a Pulse popper hook as we work into the corner, now back to the skid pad off the back straightaway here at Road Atlanta.
And we're watching to see how Murphy's going to do. Well, why not take the lead as the 5? It's going to be seeing that of the Forge PC Racers, the team that's been leading the team points. Well, trying to add a little bit more to that title, as here is the 5. Like you said, being hunted down right now. Medina still keeping it close, but Buchanan, Horvath, as well as Schutte. And now coming in, one of the drivers back in 6. Watch out for the 10. That's going to be David Gagaro Jr. Didn't have one of the better qualifying runs, but our biggest mover right now is the 10 up in our top 10.
And look at this battle continuing. Nichols there. Half a car length, 2 car lengths back. Medina there. Buchanan is there. Wheel and Dillon. closing in. Buchanan says, I'm coming, Medina. You're looking on the back of Medina, closing in on the man in the 5 of Nichols. And you see methodically how you got to use the rumble strips as your friend, Samuel, because if you don't, it slows you down. And they are going to run you down. Trouble, the 186 goes around.
That's going to be Mikey, and he's at the top of the hill, the blind on the top of the hill. He's going to back up. It's going to be putting him in a very precarious spot. He's got to get spun back around. He's just going to get off course, out of the way. And a smart move by the 186, recognizing on its telemetry, okay, I got space, got to get out of the way. As you take another look at what got that of Andrew Mikey spun around, our Daytona 500 winner. Issues here at Road Atlanta.
Looks like Mikey all up under the back end of that 62 car of Lane. And then, oh yeah, side by side, Lane got sideways and he hit him. And nowhere for Mikey to go. And then he clipped him again. Penny, for your thoughts. Hit the right rear. And that little nudge sent him around.
And just big credit to the rest of the field for not clobbering that of Mikey, just sitting where he was at. Thought there was a chance of that happening, but luckily did not. As here, Sebastian Jackson going to be having the pressure from that of the 10 of Gardio in that of the 10 machine, as well as Yadio Gomillion. Also going to be seeing a few other drivers in the mix here from 6 on back. Oh no, off track. It's going to be that of Victor who's going to be having issues. Excuse me, that's actually going to be the 36. No, it's going to be the 63. A lot of drivers having issues there.
You're right, it was Victor. It's Victor's car as he has slammed into the pit retaining wall barriers. And let's see if he had some help here. Watch Victor's car.
Victor as well as Vela going to be the 2 drivers to watch out here. We're all watching for Vela in that of the PC Racer. Just try to get aggressive here in the final corner. Ducks it down low, thinking he's got enough space, but then hits the grass rumble strips in contact for both.
And he got it collected also. We just kept an eye more on Victor's car, but you see he was also involved in it, and he might be done or on the damage clock as those cars are badly damaged. Look at this going on now as here comes Buchanan fighting for the lead. Medina goes to the point, working through the S's. Medina slips. Nichols got it back. Move out of the way, fans. Nichols now jumps back out to the lead. That was almost 3-4 lead changes in what, half of 2 corners there, Samuel? Wow.
And Murphy Nichols could have get over the radio questioning the move, but Medina, he was doing everything he could. A little bit too abrasive and aggressive there for the 25. Now going to be back in that 4th position as we hop on board with that of Doug Buchanan. And Wesley, you talked about it, a driver that is won in this series back on another road course. That was race number 1 at that of the Landown 240. Then came up short, finished 2nd during that 2nd race that day. He's hoping he could try to climb his way. 2 more positions to go, but that of Bryson Schutte has already made the pass for 2nd. The driver to watch out for got 2nd during our first race here today. He's hoping to get 1 more position.
This is our 3rd time this year, Samuel, for the Major Series visiting a road course. If you remember, you started the season there at Watkins Glen. You were at Watkins Glen, of course, then it was Daytona, but then we did the race, of course, with the low rundown event in Australia that we just mentioned, Buchanan winning race 1. Then we did the event at Phoenix, and now we're doing this one here tonight with the Major Series, round 5, with the Porsche Wild Cup at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. So again, a mixture, if you will, trying to change it up. And furthermore down the line, we mentioned the greatest virtual run of spectacle racing for Indianapolis in 2 weeks tonight on May 15th. Then you've got the virtual World 600 with the 87 Cup cars coming. The Le Mans Grand Prix Sim event for the Major Series, Samuel. We've also got other races that will be on road courses. So they're trying to change things up, and as we move later on in the year, you'll see short track racing like Martinsville Speedway, but late model cars mimicking the Valley Star Credit Union 300 and the dirt race at Wilkesport with modifieds.
Track issues. It's going to be Buchanan having issues. He just goes a little bit too far up there at turn 5. Lets the car drift up too far, and into turn 6 and 7, losing 2 positions in a blink of an eye. Doug Buchanan thought he had another podium for an opportunity here, and now back to 5th place.
Suffice to say, Sammy, this has been a more aggressive race than race number 1 for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to think for our top 6, it was more so of, hey, where we are running, all right, we'll just stay where we're put. We'll take points that we can grab, and maybe we'll take a little bit of a swap. I mean, for Medina, he was running there in 6th, was hoping to get that pole position, didn't get it. It actually went to Buchanan, but gave great opportunities to have the better lane choices up front for this start. And now in these first 10 laps of this race, the aggression level is up. These drivers recognizing it's go time. You need every position possible. As we see Doug Buchanan on our main screen on the left, then on our top right, we see that. I believe that's going to be Maurice Gilmillion. It is in the 44, leading that group up high. And then down below, we're seeing another cluster of another driver running on their own, just getting a taste of all the different varieties here on track with our Tri-Cam.
Yeah, working on that big lens there. The field working their way through the S's back from start finish, and now they'll settle their way around to turns number 6 and 7 to skid pad, which is right in their horizon. That's that sharp 45-degree turn where then they move their way to what we call here on our broadcast the back straightaway to Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. That leads back to front straightaway, actually, once they get to the finish line. It's kind of ironic, Samuel. You get all the way to the long part of the racetrack, which is the backstretch we call, with hills and the little curves. But then the next thing you know, 10A becomes 10B to 12, and you're back to the pit lane and the start-finish line.
Yeah, that quick chicane just gets you right into your last opportunity to make a pass, and then out of turn 12, you're right back into, I mean, usually the back stretch, yes, it can be longer, but the front stretch, very short, and into the windy sections of the S's. That is where the drivers right now you see in our top right, excuse me, they're cycling through that of turn 5, up into turn 6, these sharp 90-degree corners where you can get a quick opportunity. If you're going to get launched through the S's in turn 5, you can go for a pass, but they're just staying in line for now until you get into that long stretch we were talking about on the back stretch, through into turn 9 and into that of the chicanes of turn 10A and 10B.
And again, 10A, 10B could be recognized as turn 10, 11, and 12, but it's not. It's 10A, 10B. There is no turn 11. 10B would be turn 11 if you want to be honest, but that's not the way they call it here. And the word skid pad, watch them coming off the S's. This is to the skid pad. Look at this.
You see a driver that's going to be off track. That's going to be that of Michael Lane, who is off track there. You saw on our bottom right camera of a driver just sitting off in the grass. Again, this is a timed event, meaning there are no yellow flags that are going to be thrown. It is state green, even if drivers have any issues.
And even if there was a caution, it would be considered a corner yellow flag, and that would never even trigger a yellow either. So look at this battle on the bottom right of the third camera, side by side. Is this Boomsa trying to get around some cars?
That is going to be Boomsa. That's for 14th that we're watching. And then also on our main screen on the left, that's for the lead. We're watching that of Murphy Nichols and also that of Bryson Shooting going to be battling with one another. Is Boomsa able to make the pass on that of the 93, and still seeing a couple of other drivers, but for Boomsa, he's coming up to his biggest challenge, that big old lane we were talking about, a group of drivers, going to be Covey, Spencer Todd, and also others, all in that long train of about 6 to 7 drivers.
And all the while, they go back up the hill, they go back down the hill, they go back around the curve. And you see now Richardson. You see the telemetry here for race 2 of the Porsche Cup Wild, round 5 of the Majors Series, presented by Majors Garage on iRacing on LSR TV, the top ticker. And of course, when we change things up, you'll go back to the full ticker on the left all the way down, just some of the cool attributes and features that have been done. There's Chris Yedio. Samuel, good run for him. He's still in the top 10. 2 good top 10 runs for 27 right now, as we do come to 18 remaining.
Yeah, a much better run for Yedio this go-around. Going to be 13th where he qualified at the end of that that race number 1 for the 27. Now up to 9th, up 4 positions. Following that of Cody Richardson. And Richardson and Yedio, they were battling with one another for quite a while. It was Yedio that got the worst of it and fell back there late in race number 1. But now setting up, trying to figure out how to get by the 10. And oh boy, lock up the brakes. They're getting aggressive there as the battling for 7th. But we move back to some of the battling that's going on for this of 13th. As we're right on board with Boomsima going and getting the pass cleanly over that of Covey, and now going through that of turn number 12, through that of the front stretch is the 30, trying to catch up to the next group ahead of him, which is going to be about 6.8 seconds ahead before he gets to Spencer Todd.
Samuel, I just thought of something, my friend. From Watkins Glen up to now, if we do not have a repeat winner, even if we count the twin races, because obviously Watkins Glen, the low rundown event was 2 races. The race, of course, here tonight for Porsche Cup Wild and Road Atlanta is 2 races. And then you look at Daytona and the race at Phoenix. That has been 8 different winners. If we do not get a repeat winner, 8 winners in 5 events for the American Sportsman Series. How about that for the Majors Garage Series?
Yeah, right now the first driver that has an opportunity to try to go for that double down would be Nathan Medina, who won that GT3 event back at Watkins Glen for the first race of the season. And then the next one would be Doug Buchanan, who won our first race at the Lansdowne event at Orem Park for the V8s. Certainly, these 2 drivers would love to say that they're the first multi-time winner, but they've got drivers that are looking for redemption as further back issues strike. That's Alonzo King, who's going to be having troubles. Also looking like the 58 of Stephen Paulison, going to be involved with shenanigans for drivers further on back.
Yeah, Sector 5 entry, Stephen Paulison back rolling again, and King might have got a piece of it as well. As we go back under the yellow flag, and here is your replay. And you saw it all break loose there, Samuel, with now 16 to go in race number 2.
Yeah, these are 2 drivers that are battling for 17th and 18th position at the moment of contact, and they're just going to be aggressive here. Watching Stephen Paulison running his own lane, but Alonzo King, who's behind this 58, getting aggressive. You can tell the pressure, getting a lot more in the braking zone, but through the S's, finding different speed and spacing for themselves, but watch out for the rumble strips. Could be the spot where we find the incident striking.
Yeah, we're still seeing this replay here as they work their way through the S's, and there's a little braking going on. And I wouldn't say it's brake checking, but I think just got in there a little too hard. And I think we're about to see it right about now as they're side by side going into the corner. Maybe somebody didn't lift. Oh, he ran out of room. That's what he did. He came up under him and didn't realize he was there, Samuel. I really think that was an accident, just looking in the mirror, not seeing him, blind spot, if you will, and got into him.
Thought they were clear, but we're not officially as we're watching the battling. These are for drivers in the middle of the field. It's going to be the 93 for that of the Apex Racing crew. As we watch Matt, as well as that of Robert Covey, going to be in the 72, closing in. This is for 14th place, and hey, that grass, yes, you can go out there, but that is not your friend there, Covey.
And there's the 93. A Sisler will clear him. Look at now Covey up to 15th. Working them while around the racetrack here. Nichols, Schutte, Medina, Buchanan, Jackson, top 5. All the while, it's Nichols still the man out in front. Look at these camera angles. I'm loving it. I think we're picking up Covey again now, trying to close in on Sisler. While that goes on, Samuel, also Deloach and Daughtery. Remember, he had problems earlier in the race with 15 to go in race 2 here at the Porsche Cup Wild at Road Atlanta. He's trying to close back into the top 15.
Yeah, and you're also seeing a driver way further back of this lane that we've been watching. That's going to be seeing that of Gilbert in the 73, who's just been snaking his way, trying to find any type of spacing to move up and gain positions. And speaking of gaining up in positions, as we look at this group, looking at some of our biggest movers of the night. Biggest one, Spencer Todd, up 16 positions for himself. But technically, you could also say that for Brian Boomsema. He's still in for the 30. Got to remember, he qualified in 6th. Dropped back immediately on the start, then had issues of getting off track. He fell practically to last place, the 30, up to 13th position. He's done a great job recovering as well.
So let's set it up for you here now as we're probably closing in on the second half of this 20 minutes remaining in this 40-minute sprint for race number 2. It is Murphy Nichols leading, Bryson Schutte second. Nathan Medina third, followed by Doug Buchanan fourth, who had problems earlier, picked himself back up, and he's climbing again. Sebastian Jackson fifth, Horvath is sixth, Richardson, Gargaro, Yedio, Gamble is currently the top 10. But there you see now this battle coming up again, Samuel. This is for the lead, Schutte and Nichols, and Schutte got him going in the corner.
Yeah, as you were talking about where the drivers were later on in the positioning, the battle for the lead rages on, and that of Bryson Schutte. Worst case scenario for Nichols. Schutte has been on a flyer lap for the longest time, and now finally caught up to the 5, making the pass. Nichols, this is probably the best opportunity he's going to have all race long on this lap. He's got to get through the S's cleanly. He's there. Watch out for the exit of turn 5. If Nichols can find a good run here, he could potentially try to go for a pass into turn 6.
Schutte up in front. He's now trying to put on the afterburners, if you will, to go to stealth mode and scamper away quickly from Nichols. Just like, honestly, Samuel, those two cars have pulled away from the top 2. Medina all the way back there trying to hold off Buchanan for 3rd and 4th, and that goes on through skid pad, heading to the back straightaway, back to start finish.
This is the best opportunity we're going to be seeing for Nichols. He's got the draft. He's got to get up to speed because right now, this is where Schutte has the better advantage. He's found the better braking zone into that of the chicane. But if Nichols can get a little aggressive, maybe a little bit brave, just send it into the corner. This is your only opportunity because if you let that of Schutte go another lap, he might be too far out. Here comes that of Nichols, but he goes passive. He's not aggressive. He's setting up for the second corner. Here it comes Wesley down to turn number 12.
Working his way back off of 10A, 10B to 12 as Samuel Colleague reiterated on around that corner from the chicane. Working back down start-finish line. And still back up to turn number 1 from around the hill. It's Schutte holding off the offense. The attack is Nichols. He wants that lead back. They go up the hill. They work the S's back to turn number 2 through 5 to skid pad, working around Road Atlanta.
Right on the back bumper. This is the closest that we've seen Nichols be. And as we ride on board with the 5, get a sense of what the S's are like going up, down, into turn number 5 on the exit, where you can try to maximize your speed. He's right there, Wesley, into turn 6.
Turn 6, there you see, right there, you got to get on the binders in that 45-degree angle. They call it skid pad, working their way through that. Going now to the back straightaway part of Michelin Raceway, and there's contact. There goes Schutte up the hill. Nichols got into him, got to the right rear, got him a little sideways. They got fishtailed. They hold it together. Up the hill, down the hill, to the back straightaway, to 8, 9, 10A, 10B to the chicane. And boy, it's getting good for the lead, and it's not done yet.
Let's go TriCam on this battle. Get a sense of where all the drivers are at. Top right, going to be on Nichols. Diving it down low. You see the back bumper on your bottom right. But on the battle cam, on our main screen, you see how close they are going down through turn number 12 to the front stretch. Nichols is still close enough here, Wesley. He's got to make the same aggressive move through the S's. Keep it close. Honestly, if he did not get sideways, as he's right on top of one another into turn 1.
Into turn number 1, they're going to work their way back up that hill again, introducing once again to those slithery turns. They're known as the S's. That's turn number 2 through 6. Working back around here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and it's down to the home stretch. And there is no tomorrow, at least until 2 weeks from now, for the virtual greatest spectacle in racing in Indianapolis for these cars. Nichols trying everything he can to close in. It's still Schutte hitting that line, working his way back around skid pad, closing in on 10 to go, this time by off the corner.
10 to go, 13 minutes left on our timer for these drivers. In the last couple of laps, I'm watching it. This battle is great. It's awesome to watch, but the more aggressive that we see our leaders, it's going to allow that of Nathan Medina. He's back 4 seconds back from our leader, but he has been closing in the gap with this aggressive driving. Here comes Nichols, though, Wesley. This is going to be a good opportunity for that of the 5.
Nichols has got a big burst of momentum as they work their way back around, coming to the end of the S's, closing in on those corners. Ready now, coming off. Not a shot yet, can't get there. He loses more ground. You got to wonder too, Samuel, as they work back to start finish, and now 10 to go. Under 10 minutes remaining, closing in on that as well. Remember, this is a timed race. Look at this battle up the hill again. And they're still playing cat and mouse with one another. And another thing, Samuel, they have pulled away from 3rd and 4th dramatically also.
Yeah, I mean, they've pulled away, but the more times that of Murphy Nichols keeps it close, the more that Medina back in 3rd, as well as that of Doug Buchanan in 4th, they start to close in on our leaders. It's about 3.9 seconds the difference between 2nd and 3rd. It's about 4.3 between 1st and 3rd. They got time to close in the gap, but into turn number 6, trying his best is going to be that of Murphy Nichols. And Wesley, he's close once again, exactly where he was at about 3 laps ago. But another thing to watch out for could be lap traffic that our leaders are going to have to deal with here in just about 3 to 4 laps.
Yeah, you see that lap car on the horizon now as that moves their way back to that back straightaway, up the hill, down the hill to turns number 9, 10, 10A to 10B to 12, back to start finish here at Road Atlanta, and they're putting down pretty good lap times as well. Another thing you're seeing is just, you watch fighting for this gap. Nichols so far trying to reel in the driver of Shuddy. He can only cut it to 2 car lengths, and then it's like Shuddy shuts the door on him and goes into stealth mode. Right there again, pulls away as they come to start finish, and look at the power now as now Nichols makes a move to the bottom, but Shuddy closes off again up the hill to 1.
And here we go through the S's one more time. You're just going to be questioning for Nichols, how much longer is he going to be willing to just follow in suit and not think about potentially using that bumper. Also, want to give note, our bottom right, we've given a little bit more of a show of what's going on further back in the pack, as this is the battling for drivers. This is going to be all the way from 8th back to that of 14th. Watching this group right now, they are all on top of one another, and just all the drivers going into turn number 1, getting a sense of the speed as our leaders, they continue to keep within 0.3 of one another.
And they still continue to not only race hard, Samuel, but they also respect each other. Respect is earned, respect is given, and there's no give and take as far as rough driving going on. They're trying really hard to race each other for this win, but there's not anything being done to take each other out. And you gotta love that about these guys. Lap car says, have at it, boys. Pulls to the bottom left, lets the guys on driver right clear him, and then he goes back again. He lets that now give a big margin as the lap car is between 3rd and 4th. All the while, working off that 3 camera angles back to start finish. And there they go. It's still Shooty and Nichols for the lead for those 3 camera angles back up the hill. The S's are await them off of that hill, coming up the hill down to turn 2.
And Wesley, we saw there a little bit of difference from that of Nichols, deciding to go a little bit what we call shallower, just turning in sooner than what we saw that from Shooty. Well, Shooty went with a lot more of an angle going into turn number 1. Both drivers figuring out where they want to place these Porsches, figuring out where the speed is, as well as where they can find just a little bit of extra grip. That's why they're going to be trying all different angles into these corners, find that speed, as well as figure out where they want to brake as late as possible, as soon as possible. You're setting up every single opportunity, and they still keep it practically identical like they've been for the past that of about 6 to 7 laps.
8, now make it 7 to go, as Bryson Shooty is still holding them on. There's another great battle going on the racetrack. Look on the top right screen, bottom, and yeah, some smoke, some cars getting sideways. But meanwhile, that battle for the lead is on that big part of the broadcast. 8 laps worth to go in this 40-minute time run. And Samuel Shooty has opened up a big lead now on Nichols as they work their way back to start finish.
Yeah, it was all in the chicane, losing all that speed and time. And you talked about that puff of smoke. I was just about to talk about him. That of Brian Boomsema has spun out, had to take a tow. That is a race-ending tow, especially this late in the race. The 30, who was climbing and almost made a top 10 finish here tonight, going to be finishing outside of the top 20.
So I'm trying to think here, Samuel. Did you say that Brian Shooty won early in the year at Watkins Glen?
I did not say that at all. It was going to be that of Nathan Medina as well as that of Broomhead that found themselves in a victory lane.
Okay, so Shooty, if he wins this race, by the way, replay on the top right of what happened just a moment ago to race 1 winner, Boomsa. But to elaborate on that, though, Samuel, as we see the gold car Boomsa top right on that small screen, watch what happened to him. Had a little help. It looks like another just battling, and he got tagged and hit and run, and around went the 30. But Samuel, if Shooty wins this race, he will make us now the 8th different winner on the Major Series. If this happens tonight at Porsche Cup Wild, nobody has repeated as we go into Indianapolis.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, think about Murphy Nichols. This was such a redemption type of a night I thought we were going to see from the 5 here in race number 2, just because the 5 came up so shy and so short at that Watkins Glen race, but oh boy, it's closing in. A little bit of a mistake, and no, Nichols makes the mistake as well, giving up all that time he gained through the top of the S's, and now has to reset. Gonna be, instead of just 4/10 back, almost losing a full second on our leader.
Did you see the poor cone fly through the air?
Cone abuse is not wanted here, and we hope that all cones are safe as they continue to race on. 6 minutes, Wesley. Well, coming up to 6 minutes left here tonight with that at 6 laps as well.
It is the equivalent to almost 6 minutes around, 1 minute around this racetrack. So again, they timed it off as 30 laps for a 40-minute race here in race 1 and race 2. Right now, unofficially, or actually officially, they're working lap number 25. 25 of a 30-lap time run of 40 minutes is what they're saying. So right now, overall, no change except what a wild second race this one was from the first one. And here we go with Bryson Schutte looking to be now the 8th different winner on the Major Series. Remember, we're back with the Major Series presented by Majors Garage with the American Sportsman iRacing on LSR TV coverage. How about this, Samuel, as we're seeing a good one here at Road Atlanta, but man, I'm looking forward to the greatest virtual spectacle in racing, the Dolores, the Indianapolis 500-mile race on iRacing, and we're going to do it Sunday night, 2 weeks from tonight, May 14th.
Yeah, and Wesley, a little bit of a show and tell.
Yeah,
there was your photo for a second.
Look at me.
As
Yeah.
talking about, having people submitting, hey, if you want to have your photo of showing how you're watching today's race, well, there's Wesley Outland's set up for watching tonight's venue, as going to be from his shop and setup of watching tonight's race. And if you'd like to see your photo of how you're watching LSR TV, use the hashtag on Twitter of hashtag LSR TV Watch. You can find yourself being put on our screen. I've already seen a couple of different other people and how they're watching, but Wesley, hey, it's been good racing. It makes sense why you're smiling there.
It has. I got a big smile on my face. It's always fun doing the Major Series with you, Samuel. Always fun working with you. We do the Northwest Truck Series and all these other special events, and this race has not disappointed. Porsche Cup Wild. A lot of people sometimes turn their heads up, Samuel, at road racing. Some people say, "Oh man, it's going to be snapped by." But look at the different types of cars. Look at this types of package we're seeing with these Porsche GT3 machines and watching them work around the racetrack. And you're seeing, just like you'd see on a short track or even on NASCAR with Cup Truck Xfinity, like we cover on, of course, our broadcasts on LSR TV usually, Samuel. Great racing. And these guys have passion and drive and heart, and they're giving it everything they can to be there at the end. As Schutte and Nichols are still not done. Now moving through lap traffic, through skid pad row with now 4 to go.
And late driver incidents coming in. Nick Horvath, who was up in the top 10, issues for the 382, is going to have to use the fast repair. And you hate to see it this late in the run. Less than 4 minutes left in the race. And Nick Horvath went from a potential top 10 finish to hoping to stay inside of the top 20. And as well, that battle for the lead, it was 0.4, it was 1.4 seconds. The difference, it's been cut in half. They're closing in, and other battles that are closing in is this battle for 10th. Robert Gamble, as well as that of David Gagaro Jr., going to be on top of one another.
By the way, I want to clarify to help some people that might be watching the race, and you might want to send us a hashtag LSRTV Watch. You got to do it on Twitter. And if you are on Facebook, I would say just at LSR TV, well, highlight, bold us up also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at LSR TV. But if you use hashtag LSR TV Watch, that's the best way to interact with us via social media. Samuel, suffice to say, with maybe a little gap that might be 5 seconds of dead on the track, and that's working off, of course, the start-finish line, going up the hill to the S's. There is activity all around Michelin Tire Road Atlanta, Raceway Road Atlanta, as all these cars using every inch of their Porsche speed down the stretch with 3 to go, and it's still Schutte holding off Nichols, and this battle now goes on up the hill as we watch them again going in the corner. This is now going on with the 72 car of Covey and Go Million.
Covey, Go Million, they're keeping it close with one another, but here's the thing. We're less than 2 minutes left in this race here, Wesley. And you'll see the battle that's going on here, but also this is for the lead. Nichols is back. He's on the back bumper. He's giving himself one more opportunity, and he's got a little bit of live traffic to thank for that, as now the race is on. Who can get it done with a minute and a half left? Our ticker says 3 laps to go. It might be, and it should be, 2 laps to go when they come across the line.
It just switched over to 2 laps to go, so this is the penultimate lap of the race. As they work their way back around to the S's, time has officially run out. If there's a spotter helping out the number 5 of Nichols here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, they're telling him, you better go, you better send it now through the S's. He powers and shows that momentum. He can't reel in shooting. Half a car length, maybe cuts it to a half. Medina now, still way back, 5 seconds. It's going to be these 2 cars to battle it out as they work to the skid pad, to the backstretch here at Road Atlanta.
This is where we've been seeing Nichols not get the better launch. It's been that of Schutte, and Schutte once again the better launch at a turn 7, and it's been basically the Achilles heel of this 5. He's been so close through the first half of this race, but onto the backstretch, he's just not close enough to make the dive ball move into turn 10A. And Wesley, he's going to have 1 more lap to go.
He certainly will as he works through this part of 10A to 10B, as you mentioned, at 12 through the chicane. He gave him a shot to the right, to the left, to the right. He can't get there. They come down the hill, around the corner through the chicane. The white flag's in the air. The CRN1 to go. Final time, Schutte, Nichols for the lead, for the win in race 2, and he's got to run on the outside as they go to turn 1.
Into turn 1, side by side, Murphy Nichols, he's trying to set up going into turn number 2, potentially here. He's going to dive bomb it high into the corner. There's going to be contact, and it was, but it wasn't enough. It's going to be Schutte driving away as Nichols throws his race away in his last opportunity this early on.
Nichols overshot the corner, driving into the S's. He made a wrong mistake. He plows into cones, and all the while, he has now also allowed Medina to reel him in, but there's also a lap car in that man's way. It's all number 002, Bryson Schutte in clean air. There's the interval back. Nichols might have made that big mistake trying to come after him in the S's, and it fails. And Bryson Schutte is looking for the checkered flag as he's coming to the finish. Samuel Dyer in the final corners.
I mean, it was all Bryson Schutte. He had to work his way all the way up to the lead and defended into the chicane. The final time, just have a little bit of a breather here as he's coming around the last couple of corners here, Wesley.
Final time around the corners to the chicane off 10B to turn 12. He will make 8 different winners in the major series. He wins race 2 at Road Atlanta, and Bryson Schutte is the winner. And what a race it was. Nichols will fall back to almost 3.5 seconds, Samuel, at the checkered flag in race number 2 for the finish. Medina, he had a shot, he fell back. He had to hold off the likes of Buchanan, Jackson, top 5, and you see the rest of the field coming to the flag here, Samuel.
And you saw the battle also coming out of turn number 12. That was Cody Richardson and Spencer Todd. That was for 6th place. Spencer Todd, biggest mover of the night, up 20 positions. Almost cracked the top 5 after that race 1 incident that put him all the way back in 30th on that restart. And for the 18, he did a great job here tonight.
Samuel, if Nichols could get 1 more lap again, do you think he would have maybe held off, not trying to be aggressive going through the S's?
I mean, I think he just felt like the S's where his strength was, but it was when he was following Schutte, letting Schutte get too much pressure. It was at turn 7. I think if he had figured out turn 7 a little bit more on how to get to the throttle sooner and a little bit more aggressive, he would have had a chance on Schutte into the chicane. That just was an over-aggressive chance in going for a pass. And I think it was his only chance in his mind to go for the lead.
If you can ever have a chance to put this on your calendar in Brazelton, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta near Commerce, I'm encouraging you to go check out Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It is truly a special place. SCCR, SCCA, IMSA, road race, motorcycle events. They do driver courses and so much more. This race was definitely a good one. It was fun. I saw it was a good time for the Porsche Cup Wild. Let's take a look at the results We're going to read through them here real quickly and take you to them, Samuel. As Bryson Schutte is the winner. Murphy Nichols is second. Nathan Medina third. Doug Buchanan fourth. Sebastian Jackson fifth. Cody Richardson, as you mentioned, really a big climber. Spencer Todd over-deeming some bad luck from race 1, up 20 spots in seventh. Chris Jadio, Claude Bevel, and Robert Gamble. How about our buddy from the Pacific Northwest Series? He's in the top 10.
Then in 11th, it's going to be that of David Gagaro Jr., with that of Matt Ciseller going to be in that of 12th, with also that of Robert Deloach going to be taking that 13th position, with Robert Covey in 14th, Maurice Gomillion taking 15th, James Dartery going to be taking 16th, with that of going to be seeing Gilbert in 17th. That of Cadiz going to be taking 18th, with that of seeing Nick Harthfield going to be taking that of 19th, and as well that of Andrew Spicer going to take 20th.
Stephen Paulison will be 21st. Joseph Homan will go 22nd. Bad luck in both races. Alonzo King will be 23rd. Daniel Salim Howard will be 24th. Brett Charleston 25th. Dino Vella in 26th. Brendan Victal in 27th, followed by Michael Lane. Brian Boomsa, race 1 winner. Bad luck in race number 2. 7 laps down in 29th. And Andrew Mickey, who also looked at one time, Samuel, to be a threat to win this race. 13 laps down, he will finish in the last position of 30th.
Yeah, it was not the day for Mickey, nor for that of Boomsama in that second race. And for that of Andrew Mickey, our Daytona 500 winner, he's going to need some solid runs in these next 3 races. He's got a lot of work to do. And the same thing could be said about Spencer Todd, a great rebound here in race number 2. But that first race really going to hurt the 18's points lead going into their next race that we're expecting.
And the next race, remember, is with those Dallara IR-18 machine prototypes at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the greatest virtual spectacle in racing. We're going to go 500 miles, 200 laps, just like the real deal on Sunday afternoon, May the 28th. In the 106th running of that IndyCar Series event. Coming up next, we're going to wrap things up, try to grab some post-race interviews. Stay with us. This is the Majors Series, presented by Majors Garage, iRacing on LSR TV from Road Atlanta. Welcome back to coverage of round number 5 of the American Sportsman category of the Major Series, presented by the Majors Garage. iRacing on LSR TV. Samuel Dyer, Wesley Outland. Awesome work behind the scenes, by the way, with us, of course, Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten. We're going to grab a word with, I believe, the winner of race number 1, and then we're going to grab the top 3 from race number 2. So, joining us from Europe, the England driver, Brian Boomsma, from the European circuit, coming in to run this event. What'd you think of Road Atlanta? Race 1, definitely not what you were looking for in race number 2, but you did win the first one. Brian Boomsma, you got a copy. All right, we're trying to connect with Brian Boomsma. I'm not getting him here, so we'll try to reset again here and try to come back and grab him again here at the end. So I guess Samuel will throw an audible and we'll go down to the third place finisher of race number 2, and that is, of course, Nathan Medina. Nathan, you were right there in the hunt of things, man. It was coming down to the wire. You held him off, and you'll settle for a third place tonight here at Road Atlanta for the second race.
Yeah, I mean, this race was not easy at all. I mean, tons of practice just to understand the track and the car, because there's just no downforce with this car. My goal going into this race was not even to win. I did not even plan on it, didn't even think about it. So if it came, it came. It was just trying to make it to the end without destroying myself. You know, one of the most important things for this was to not heat up the wheels, don't lock up the tires, because once you get heat on these tires, they don't cool off, and then you're in for a long ride for the rest of the race. So it's just being as smooth as possible.
I mean, Nathan, we saw that there were moments of drivers having issues, especially early in that race number 2. How was it for yourself trying to avoid all the carnage of drivers around you?
The plan was to stay up front in the first race to make sure that I start up front in the second race. I did not want to be in the carnage, because it takes a few laps to get this car, going, and it's very risky. And of course, that's like the best time to make some moves and get some early changes, is some early dive bombs, when everyone's stuck in a train. So I knew there was going to be, big wrecks happening, but luckily, first race went well, so I got to start up front in the second race.
Medina, final question, and we can segue into your question and sponsors also in closing. The second race seemed like it was a lot more aggressive. Why do you think that was compared to the first?
I think because I had some, I guess mistakes in the first race, that my tires did not feel the same. I don't know if it was maybe track temps were a little different in the second race, but first race I didn't have the grip that I wanted. I didn't have the confidence. The second race I felt like I had more grip, especially later on in the race. And I know I got into a scary moment with Murphy, and I was battling him for a little bit, and we had some lead changes, and I felt like I could keep up with his pace on the second race, but the first race he just pulled away. I don't know, maybe it was just I took care of my tires a little bit better, later in the run.
Well, Bud, we'll let you thank your sponsors real quick, man. Third place.
Thank you. I want to give a shout out to Evolve. They helped me a lot with this track. This is not my strength, and Andrew Waring definitely practicing with those guys. Those guys are great guys, and the private sessions allowing me to practice with them.
That's the driver, of course, of Nathan Medina in that number 25 machine. He settles in for a third place. We're going to go to the runner-up of the event now, Murphy Nichols. And Samuel, I know me and you talked about this off air during commercial break coming back, and I know I asked that question in post after the checkered flag fell, and now who better than to ask the driver of Mr. Nichols. If you could go back and do it again, would you have run down Shooty so hard going into the S's of the corner? Did you feel like that was the perfect place to try to come after him, or do you feel like that was a mistake on your part and you should have waited somewhere else?
In all honesty, I think I would have done it again, because I knew about 5 or 6 laps in that I did not have the straight line that Bryson did. And talking after the race, I figured out my suspicions became reality, where he had a lot less downforce than I did, so I was a lot faster through the corners and he was faster through the straight. And I'm sure you guys saw throughout the race, I could be right on Bryson's bumper and I couldn't get side by side with him on that back straight, just because of how different our setups were. So I knew on the last lap I had to make some sort of move where his car struggled and mine thrived, which was the S's. So I think the lunge was a little bit risky. I wish I would have been a little bit closer to the left side, but I also have a single monitor, so it's hard to judge where he is. So I have to play it safe because obviously I don't want to hit him and ruin his race and get a protest, and I don't want to win that way either. But in all honesty, if I given the chance again, I would make a move like that again. If I can hold him off, or if he could be behind me going in the straight, then I think I could have had a chance to win this. And if he was ahead of me, then a miracle would have had to happen for me to win it.
I mean, Murphy, you talked about how that straightaway speed, you feel like you were lacking. We also saw, that final corner going on to the backstretch. There were times where you were close. Do you just feel like that lack of, having too much downforce was what was killing you to just get back into the throttle? Because it seemed like that exit was just the struggling point for you on that second half of the course.
Yeah, there was a point where it almost became too much downforce. Like, the car definitely pushed going in through that corner, but that was also just because of how I was racing. I've been walking up left and right, trying to stay with him. I'd been really pushing the car, and it's definitely, like, if I would have ran with the lower wing setting, I think it would have made rotation a little bit better, but it's also aero washed as well, which kind of forces the car to move more to the side than really I want it to. But I think if I was ahead of him, the exit would have been a little bit better, but I think he still would have had the better exit just because he has less downforce, so he has more rotation with this car than I do.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what, I appreciate your honesty in, Murphy, saying what you would have done or not done and should have done and would do again. I think that, some people might have been saying, oh, man, why did he go there? And in closing, if there would have been another part of the racetrack besides the S's, where do you think that would have been to make the move? And in segue, also, thank your sponsors.
If not the move, if I wouldn't have made the move there, I would have made it in the chicane, because I know how to make a move into there and kind of keep that position. It's kind of risky to do, and it takes a little bit of balls, but if you can do it right, you can hold the position from the guy that you were fighting with. As for thank yous and sponsors, big shout out to my parents, especially to my Aunt Kathy and cousin Katie, who are here from Michigan watching the race. Big shout out to Smoketown Forge Racing, obviously. Big shout out to Kurt for building this set for me. And a shout out to you guys for making this broadcast possible and doing such a good job as always.
You're certainly welcome, bud. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Murphy Nichols. Again, he'll settle for that number 2 position here tonight in the final race of the 40-time let run of the, of course, Porsche Cup Wild here at Road Atlanta. Victory Lane we go. Let's try to go back to Victory Lane again. And race 1 winner, Brian Boomsa from the European area, running here with American Sportsman, winner of race 1. Brian, you with me, buddy?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, sir. How are you, my friend? Yes, sir. Winner of race 1. Your take of race 1 compared to the shenanigans you had to deal with, the bad luck from race 2.
Yeah. Do you want me to give a small...
Yes, we would love to have a recap of your thoughts of things.
Well, I had a good start. I went from P4 to P2 almost instantly. Had to fight off the Evolve guy behind me, and after a few laps I got up with Bryson, I think it was. I could make the move on the straight, and after that it was just keeping the car on track.
I gotta say, it was fun watching you, Brian, racing out with these American drivers. How was it for yourself, though, the difference between racing in the European side of things compared to what it was like racing with the Americans here at Road Atlanta?
I think the Americans aren't used to their right mirror. In the second race, I don't know, I was on the inside on 2 cars and like all the way or halfway alongside, and they still decided to turn in. So I had nowhere to go basically, and yeah, after that I also got taken out.
So, Brian, and segue and sponsors, man, would you say that the American drivers might have been, from American Sportsman, a little bit more aggressive than what you see on the European circuit here tonight at Road Atlanta?
Oh, no, definitely not. I think it was just unlucky, and I think, yeah, you know, we're racing, and sometimes you don't see someone alongside you, and it's only a bit, yeah, it's only a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Unfortunate it happened twice in one race. So, but no, they're definitely not more aggressive. We had some good racing. They kept room on the start in race 1. I could get through in the middle. So, no, it was good racing here in America.
All right, Brian. Well, listen, we'll let you thank your sponsors real quickly. And thank you for joining us. Will we see you come back and race with us again sometime?
Yeah, thanks to my team, Energy Racing. Also to you guys for the stream. And that's all I really have to say. So thanks.
Well, we appreciate this European driver, Brian Boomsa, coming in and joining us. And again, he was the winner of race number 1. Now we go to race number 2, and this is the driver of Bryson Schutte. In addition to Bryson Schutte picking up the win for race number 2, he also finished second in race number 1, and in doing so, he gets the average points finished total tally. And they were talking about a token. Well, that's just basically the extra bonus points that goes towards a championship. Bryson Schutte, congratulations, buddy. You make it now the 8th different winner in 5 races. Obviously, the first 2 races were 2 winners. Obviously, we had 1 winner at Daytona, 1 winner at Phoenix, 1 winner here of the previous race. And the last 2 road courses, we've had another 2 different winners. 8 winners in 5 events. What's your take of winning here at Road Atlanta?
Oh, man, it was a hard-fought battle. You know, this car is an absolute beast to drive, especially when the tires start to wear out. And as Murphy was saying earlier, you know, with our setups being completely different, I was having a really hard time through a lot of the corners as I was trying to keep my car loose so that I was kind of untouchable on the straightaways, and it seemed to help me out that way. But it led to obviously a lot of mistakes, some mistakes in race 1 where I wasn't able to catch up to Brian. But I made some changes to the car, adjustments to the rake, and it was able to pay off in race 2.
Gotta say, Bryson, it was amazing to watch you throughout that run. How was it though in the first half? You had to climb your way through, started 5th on that second race after finishing 2nd in the first race. How was it trying to be patient in the first half of this timed event to get up to first place, then you have an opportunity to defend over that of Murphy Nichols?
It was tough. You know, the mindset of a driver is you just kind of want to rush your way to the front, try to walk away. But in a car like this, it's super easy to overdrive, overheat the tires, and all of a sudden you find yourself falling backwards. You know, I realized it's a fairly long race. Things can change. Obviously, the battle in front of me allowed me to catch up and make up some spots. And then the big thing was just trying to, you know, wait when the time was right for everything, don't rush it. And, you know, and it paid off for me. The big thing was that I learned from the first race was just not overdriving my tires. You know, be patient because eventually it'll come to you if the people in front of you are overdriving.
So, Bryson, I have a question, and we can also segue your sponsors in thanking them as well. We move into Indianapolis coming up in 2 weeks, and this series for the Majors Garage Series is based off of the major events across the world. We've seen Indy cars, we've seen the old open wheel USAC cars, we have seen the Porsche cars tonight here at Road Atlanta, we have seen Cup cars, we are now getting ready for the Lsr for the virtual greatest spectacle in racing. You name it, it's got these types of cars. How do y'all, as racers on the American Sportsman, or even all of these programs for the Major Series, adapt to running these cars and put on the ample, exciting show that y'all do whenever we race on Sunday nights?
Honestly, for myself, the biggest factor is just working together with my team. A lot of us have a lot of different pedigrees in driving. You know, some for more open wheel, some for oval, some for sports car. And, you know, we're able to combine a lot of our knowledge, and it allows us to develop setups, to develop, you know, knowing what the line of the track is, strategy, all those things. And we're able to put that together and be able to run at the front. You know, if it wasn't for my team, you know, I wouldn't be able to be here, and I wouldn't be, you know, trying to fight for the win. And then leading into thanking my sponsors, I'd love to thank, obviously, my team, Evolve. They're absolutely killing it this year. They've been helping me so much, you know, working with them, practice races, developing setups, everything. In regards to sponsors, I'd like to thank Tranquil Production Machines, Direct Innovations, Muradness, Professional Racing Ontario. I think that'll be about it.
As we get ready for Indianapolis and round 6 of the Major Series for the American Sportsman of 2022. Tonight for round 5 in the Porsche Cup Wild, the winner, of course, is the winner of race number 1, Mr. Boomsma, who had some bad luck in race 2, but the European driver, Brian Boomsma, winner of race 1, and Bryson Schutte has the most average points finish and the winner here of race number 2. Samuel, your final take of things as we rack things up here tonight for the Porsche Cup Wild at Road Atlanta. These cars did not disappoint, but you know, my friend, I'm looking forward to the next one. The greatest virtual spectacle in racing with the Dallara IR18 prototypes in the Indy 500.
Yeah, the Majors 500, the next race for us here on, going to be round number 6 for the Majors this season. But yeah, I got to say, tonight, kind of similar to what we saw at our last doubleheader race at that of the Orem Park with the V8 supercars for that of the Landau 240. You saw our leaders, they qualified well, got up front, dominated. That's what we saw from Brian Boomsma. But I gotta say, that invert of our top 6, it always is that changing wild factor that always allows that driver that finished second in race 1 come away and finish in first place for race number 2.
And now as we move to Indianapolis on Sunday night, May the 15th, with the virtual Indy 500 for round 6, we have had now 5 events, 8 different winners in 5 races. Of course, some races have been multiple events where we've had different race winners, and that just shows you, in closing, Samuel, how competitive and any driver on this series can win on any given night with any different type of car.
Yeah, I mean, that is the big thing. That's what we love about the Majors. The fact that it's every time we come out racing, it flip-flops from oval racing to road course racing. You see the drivers that have been consistent and running well. Murphy Nichols, again, and also Nathan Medina. These road courses where they thrive, and as well, we're going to start to see those drivers that had success at ovals. They're going to love going back to Indy racing action here in just 2 weeks.
If you'd like to know more information about the Major Series presented by Majors Garage, go online to majorseries.com. And as always, at LSR TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and at iRacing as well. For everybody behind the scenes in our broadcast coverage tonight, from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, including Jeff Stabnow. Mason Heimbaugh had other work obligations, but he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes for the Major Series, unable to be with us tonight. And the man that's always clicking the buttons, making us sound good, and making the broadcast look good for our viewers is Mr. Charles Wooten. For Samuel Dyer, I'm Wesley Outland. Thank you for joining us at Road Atlanta, the Major Series, in 2 weeks. Can't wait for it. We'll see you next time at Indianapolis with this coverage of iRacing on LSR TV. Good night and God bless. Thank you for watching.